Well, I was going to do a weekly roundup today, but I had such a good time playing Lone Wolf earlier that I thought I'd play a bit more of it because I'm a bit behind on my Lone Wolf streams. And the inside man said, "Lone Wolf, what's that all about? I can't wait to find out. I feel I must come on this stream and support you and help you make some fantastic choices during your quest for adventure. So who am I to refuse him?" Here he is.
Hello.
Hello. So,
Hello.
of course, Inside Man, you know all about the Lone Wolf adventure books, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
So, as I'm not convinced by the authenticity of that answer, I'm just going to give you a brief history. So, these are the original books that were created back in the day that first came out in the late 80s. And they were what's known as a choose your own adventure book. So, you create a character at the beginning. It's a bit like Dungeons and Dragons. And you pick some skills, and then you have to choose a path, and you have various options. And as you go through the thing, the book's all a series of numbers, and you go, you choose to go down the path number 13, or you board the ship number 50, and that's how you choose the adventure, Inside Man. So you're going to help me make those choices. Now, the difference with this particular series of books over, shall we say, lesser inferior series is they're all set in the same world, and it's all part of one continuous adventure. So they're all set in the world of Magnamund, which might as well be called Middle Earth. And you've got these guys called the Kai, who are a bit like the Jedi, who are sort of like fighting monks. And my character is from that order of fighting monks. And in the first book, they're all massacred, and I'm the only one to escape.
Gotcha.
And the guy who arranged the massacre was a former Kai monk called Vonotar, and Vonotar led an evil army to try and destroy the kingdom. I basically rebuked him in the last book. He retreated, and now he is pissed off to the Caverns of Kalte in the north, which is a kingdom in the north in these icy wastes, located in the northern part of the kingdom. And guess what, Inside Man? I even have a map that I can show you of that kingdom. So I can tell you're already very, very excited.
Yeah, I've just soiled myself.
It's not impossible for that to happen when undertaking a lone wolf quest. So sometimes that happens when you're fighting the monsters, as I discovered myself. So this is actually the map of the entire kingdom, and it's massive, Inside Man. Look, it goes all the way down here. You've got all these other towns, lots of mountains, all kinds of stuff. Now we haven't explored any of that stuff yet. That's where your house is, in the middle of the Sadi Desert. So that's why you're always looking so crisp. But the first book basically takes place in just this little area here called Summerland. And I had to escape from the monastery and get to Holmgard, which was the capital of Summerland, and tell the king that the monastery had been destroyed. All my brothers were dead. And he then sent me over to Duranor to get this magical sword called the Sommerswerd, which I've now got. It's spelt Sommerswerd, but it's meant to be sword. And I got the king of Duranor to come and aid them. Their city was under siege. We broke the siege, and the traitor escaped. And the traitor has fled to this kingdom up here called the Kingdom of Kalte, you see. And I'm now on a ship to go and get the traitor, okay? So that's where the mission starts. But the first thing I have to do is I get 10 extra gold crowns. I've got a list of all the items and things that I've got, but I get a load of extra gold crowns basically to put in my purse. I've already got some money from before. So I've got this fantastic dice rolling app. See, this gets very exciting. Very exciting.
Right.
And I can hear your teeth chattering.
Yes.
Here we go. So I know you just get all sorts of extraordinary streams on my channel. Right. So I've got this dice rolling app down here, and these are the different dice you can pick.
Right.
So I always have to roll a d10. So there we go. It's just rolled me a 3. So I got 3 extra gold crowns. That sounds like an Inside Man portion of money, but that's all I've been given. What a stingy person, eh?
Yeah.
Were you in charge of the royal coffers, Inside Man?
I was actually, yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately, I've
Yeah.
got 31. I've got 31 gold crowns left over from my previous adventure. I've got 7 meals. I've got 2 weapons, an axe and the Sommerswerd. I've got a healing potion in my backpack, which can contain 7 more items. And then I've got a number of special items, which include a crystal star pendant, a silver token, a coach ticket, some poison, a red pass, which I suspect is going to be useless, and a padded waistcoat, possibly with frilly undergarments, but I'm not sure if they come with it.
Pretty well equipped, I'd say.
The waistcoat gives me +2 to my endurance, and my endurance is currently 24. They're kind of like hit points.
Yeah.
My combat skill is 18, but the Sommerswerd gives me a bonus of +10. So my combat skill at the minute is 28 when I wield that sword.
Is that how's that on the scale of combat skills then?
What happens is when you attack somebody, they've got a combat skill, and you put that up against yours and see what the difference is, and it's a plus or a minus depending on whether they're more powerful than you or not. And then, so if it's a +5, I roll a d10 on the +5 chart, and that tells me how much damage we both take in a round.
Gotcha.
So the higher odds you've got, the more damage you're going to do to your opponent. Now, we've got a few of the regulars in here. So I'm just going to say hi to Keith. Hi to David Macy, who, by the way, Inside Man, he just sent me a script to do an appraisal for him. It's a little paid gig. I do feedback on feature film scripts or pilots, just a feedback, not a big like script report or anything. I do that for £100, which is a pretty reasonable price.
It's very reasonable.
Very reasonable. Well, I try to stay competitive. I mean, obviously, if someone's going to send me a 3-hour movie, it might have to be £200, but you know, 90-page script or less, 90 to 100-page script or less. It was a 61-page pilot.
Yeah.
I won't discuss it because obviously it's David's property. But I liked it. It was a period drama, period action drama. That's all I'm going to say.
Well done,
David said the feedback was great. Thank you, David. We like that. So if anybody else has got a script they want me to have a look at, treatments as well, I look at those. I'm happy to do that for you. But in the meantime,
that's excellent. That's excellent. And that just quickly, that's well below what other people would ask. So I think that's an incredibly competitive and very, very reasonable rate.
Yeah, I basically break it down into 5 things. I kind of do a short summary. I say what I like about it. I sort of list positives, negatives. I'll list any typos that I've spotted, and then I'll also list some suggested changes. So that's kind of what they get, and maybe some additional notes. David is saying, please do discuss. Well, I'm sorry, David. It's an extra 50 quid to discuss your script on a stream. We're actually doing the Lone Wolf adventure. It's a bit like a modern Dick Turpin, I would say. It's set in the time of the gunpowder plot with Guy Fawkes. And he's actually in it. He's actually in it briefly, but it's not about him. But if you can imagine Ian McNeice playing a greedy kind of landlord who's been a bit passed over for a peerage, that sort of character, he's the main villain, but he's also the main character. So whereas the hero is the secondary character, and I kind of liked that. I thought that was really good. That, for me, that was one of the strengths of the script. So there you go, David. I have discussed it.
That sounds really interesting, David.
Yeah, it's good fun reading it. It was called The Tyndale Raven. That's the name of the script. So in keeping with period dramas, we're now back in the world of Lone Wolf, and that's where I've got to go. I've got to go up to Kalte. Now, I do have the map that comes with the book, which is a little bit nicer. See, on the new editions, I don't know if you can see that, Inside Man, but you get these maps on the inside sleeve.
Nice.
So, yeah, very nice. So, we start the journey on a boat to Lujuk. Well, it's spelled L-J-U-K. Do you think you pronounce that Lujuk?
Luke.
Luke? Look,
Luke.
it's probably pronounced in the Scandinavian fashion,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Luke.
All right, excellent. As you're doing that very well, you can pronounce that from here forwards.
They're going to
Okay.
Luke.
This is going to be a lot
Hang
of
on a
like,
minute. Hang on. Who's the one that's comes from Scandinavia?
well, that's me, 50% of
Yeah,
me, but
well.
I haven't been there in a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Mm.
that's a fair
And
enough
I don't
excuse.
get to hang around with a lot of Danes either.
Mm.
But I need to go to the Danish church on a Saturday. See if I can reconnect with my relatives. Okay, so anyway, here we go. So what we're going to do to start then is I'm going to read the opening passage. I'll try and abbreviate a bit because I do have to do a lot of talking because I have to read out a lot of things, and I've got wine and water this time, whereas I just had water earlier today. So even before you accept the task of bringing Vonotar to justice, so that's the bad guy that we're after, Vonotar, preparations were being made for your voyage to Kalte. The captain of the Summerlanding warship, Cardinal, having returned from a long patrol, was ordered to await your arrival in Anskaven. So we're currently in Anskaven. Oh yeah, I see that. That is here.
Nice.
That's here. Can you see it? I'm
Yep.
going to move
Yep.
it. See Anskaven Bay, and then that's Anskaven. So that's where we're departing from, in the sort of top of the dog's head there, as it were. The plan is for you to set you ashore. I guarantee, by the way, that plan's not going to work. And it's also quite fun to spot characters that are wearing a red Star Trek vest in this game, who friendly people that you meet who are soon going to die. I called out about 6 of those in the last book, and they were all correct. So they're going to set me ashore on Hale Bluff, drop anchor, and await my return. So Hale Bluff. Oh, okay, I see that. Can you see that? That's here.
Right. Okay. Where's
So
oh yeah.
Hale
Yeah.
Bluff,
Yeah.
and from there I'm supposed to find where this. So you click on that, and this gives you like a little brief on Kalte, which is pretty cool. And this is all on the website for Lone Wolf. So
That's
it's quite
pretty
nice.
good, actually. Yeah,
It
it's
is good,
pretty
isn't
good.
it? Get this little
Yeah.
kind of. It's very when Joe Deaver created this world, he created it because he was bored of the world on offer in Dungeons and Dragons, and
Yeah.
early D&D was actually, the adventures didn't really feel that they were set in a cohesive world. They were supposed to be set in the world of Greyhawk, but it was ages before that was solidified and where cities and towns were in relation to each other. So he created this world to play with his friends using the D&D combat system. But after a while, he created his own combat system, and that's the combat system that's in this book.
Right.
So this is all like, and there's a lot of influence in the world building from places like Lord of the Rings. Now, this was ruled by this fat kind of greedy barbarian warrior called Brumelamark, but apparently Vonotar became his magician and then murdered him, and now kind of controls all the barbarian tribes. So bringing him to justice is not going to be an easy task. Keith has just said he's also 50% Danish.
Ah, there you go.
So between us, Keith, we're 100% Danish.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So if you have any contacts in the Danish press, Keith, back home, please let me know, because I am trying to find my relatives very quickly, for they're too old and there's none of them left. So, okay, so that's where we're going. Okay, so basically, there goes my alarm to let me know that I'm on the stream. Thanks very much. Okay, for 6 days, the Cardinal sails across the stormy Kaltes, so that's the sea, the Kaltes, without running into a storm. But every day, the temperature drops until a layer of ice covers the decks. On the morning of the 7th day, the snow-capped island of Tola is sighted on the horizon. Oh, okay, that's the one that's near Halle Bluff or Halleberry Bluff. Then there's a blizzard, and all sight of land quickly vanishes. All day, the furious gale rages. Tremendous winds slice the tops of the grey waves Water crashes over the desks, masks, and rigging of the ship, freezing it immediately to solid ice. It's not until early evening that the weather clears, although the wind still blows strongly. You're soon to discover that the gale has blown the ship off course along the lip of Lugic ice shelf. You know that to return to Halley Bluff would be a waste of precious time. So you decide to land on the ice shelf and pass your mission. Start your mission there. Do I? That sounds a bit dodge.
Oh,
Right. So we're okay. So we're on the ice shelf. That's in the middle there. Do you see that?
Yep.
Right. Okay. So I guess we're halfway between the bluff and Lugic City. As the last of the canoe dogs are carried ashore, your guides tell you of two possible routes to Ilkaya from here. Ilkaya, where's that? I guess that's where I'm going. Now, that might not be on this map. I might need to look at the other one. The Ilkaya Ice Fortress is right up in the north, basically, just below the flag, where it gets all like misty and dark.
Wow.
So I've got to travel right up to the edge of the map, basically, past somewhere called Vlad Mountains and through Storm Giant Pass. I wonder what that entails. So that's apparently where the guy's going to be. The alternative routes involve a longer journey of nearly 180 miles into the Harad Basin, followed by a trek of another 100 miles through Storm Giant Pass to Ilkaya. Even if the weather and your luck hold good, either route will involve 10 days of hard trekking before you go. Oh, yeah, so I can follow the difficult terrain of the Vlad Glacier, or I can go round the Storm Giant Pass. So I've got those are the kind of two routes. You should consult your map of Kalte before making your decision. If you want to, so basically I've got two choices inside, man, right?
Yeah.
I can either go the shorter route, which is more difficult, or the longer route, which is slightly safer. What should I do? This is why you're here, to help me make these decisions.
My instinct is telling me to take the shorter route, regardless of what the dangers would be.
Okay, is that what a military man would do? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah.
Shorter route, regardless of the danger. Okay. Now, if I go to the next number and it says your journey ends here, which means I've died, I'm going to be very annoyed. Okay. So, if you wish to attempt the shorter but more difficult route, turn to 160. So you see, what happens now is I flip to 160 in the book.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can see at the end of this one we've got three choices. So this is what happens. Your transport to Ilkaya consists of two sledges, each drawn by a team of 6 canoe dogs. Okay, just picture wolves, basically, from Game of Thrones. This sturdy breed is native to Kalte, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I've got 3 guides, all wearing red Star Trek T-shirts. Irian, Fenor, and Dice. They're experienced trappers, but they're definitely wearing red Star Trek vests, is what I'm going to say now. So I guarantee you that none of these 3 guys are going to make it to the end of this. Okay.
Right.
Once the dogs are harnessed, you and Dice climb aboard your sledge and signal to the others to lead the way. As you stare across the frozen expanse of the ice shelf, you see a white glare on the distant horizon. This is the Vlad Glacial Wall, the point where the flow of the ice meets the frozen sea. Sounds a bit like the ice wall in Game of Thrones. And this, don't forget, this was written in the 80s. You make good progress on the first day, and as darkness approaches, you decide to set up camp for the night. You halt inside a circle of ice pillars that have been forced upwards by the constantly moving shelf, blah, 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 blah. Suddenly, a terrifying roar is heard outside your tent. Oh, that's after we've all gone to bed. By the gods, cried Irian, a bacchanal. What the fuck is a bacchanal? Bacchanal, this is what it is, are large cavernous creatures that dwell near the Kalte coastline. They usually prey on aquatic birds, but this bacchanal has been attracted by the scent of your dogs. It's going to try and attack and eat one of your sledge dog team. Okay, so it's asking me the following. If I possess the Kai discipline of hunting, that's one of the skills, turn to page blah, blah. I do possess that. The other one is animal kinship, which I do not possess. And then the third thing is if you possess neither of these skills, turn to a third page. Well, I do possess hunting, so I'm going to turn to page 204. Okay, back Baknar, it's spelled Baknar, are fierce and dangerous creatures, apparently. They're afraid of only one thing, fire and inside man's wind. Grabbing a torch from the pile of equipment, you light it and leave the tent. The wind has become much stronger since you first made camp. I'm not sure if that's your wind or the wind of the...
It could be.
Could be. Maybe
Yeah.
beans were consumed, possibly.
Plenty.
A moving shadow to your right betrays the Baknar as it comes loping towards me. Not leaping, loping. It is prepared to pounce when it sees your guttering torch and shrieks with terror. Moments later, it has disappeared into the darkness. A quick check of the canoe dogs reveals that they're all safe. To ensure the Baknar does not attack again, you each take in turns in sitting watch that evening with torches and weapons at the ready. Okay, so we foiled that attack.
Yeah, foiled that one.
That was fairly successful. I wonder if there's a picture of these. There is. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. Hang on, let me just take the map down for a sec. A Baknar looks like this.
Okay, yeah.
Because they have like a little glossary at the back of each book. And if there's new creatures being introduced, they'll show you. So, Vonotar, this is the guy we're hunting. He looks like that.
Gotcha.
And he was also on the cover of the original last book, doing his kind of like evil Jedi thing. And that's him there. Yeah. And I clobbered him right after that picture was taken and sent him packing. Okay, so right, so we're going to go back to where we were.
All right, so successfully managed to get through that.
Yeah, so I didn't even have to have any combat. I basically got him around and he ran away. Oh, Tabrizi's in the house. Alex, hey. If you're up for popping on the stream, mate, let me know. Alex has actually been my co-host on one of these before.
Yeah, I've actually spotted him a couple of times. Actually,
yeah. He does look like a wolf. He looks pretty similar to that creature, a Krampus. Yeah, that's right. Alex does look a bit like a Krampus. Very true.
I actually did see some of his work on something that he did. I know he did some work for you, didn't he?
He did. He worked on. He worked on the journey. He did about 5 different jobs on the journey. And I think he had more credits on the production than anyone else. He was the only crew member who was on all of the filming days.
Yeah. Oh.
The lesser spotted Tabrizi. Yeah, Alex, if you want to come on the stream, mate, I'll drop you the invite link via your Facebook page, via your Facebook Messenger. So let me just do that now quickly. Alex and I have been friends for a really long time. He's quite an accomplished DOP. He's also a documentary filmmaker. He's making a documentary on UFOs at the moment, and we're going to do a stream about that in the not too distant future because there's all this stuff coming out. It's quite an interesting time. Okay, so we're going to page 134.
Yeah.
Or rather, number 134. Okay. 134. The following morning, you awake at dawn to the welcome sight of Fenor, that's one of my red-shirted Star Trek men, preparing a hot breakfast. No portions for Gary, he says. He passes you a steaming bowl. That's why, you see, you're not allowed to eat steaming bowls. And gratefully, you eat its contents. Then you begin loading the equipment onto sledges for today's journey. It's a beautiful morning. The wind has dropped and the air is fresh and clear, apart from, the beans. So the canoe dogs are strong and eager to be off. By nightfall, I've reached Siam Island, the pinnacle of granite rising through the ice shelf to a height of 400 feet. You make camp on the leeward side. Right, I now have to roll a random number from 1 to 10. So I've got to get my dice roller. I won't take the map down. I'll just roll this unless we're on combat.
Yeah.
I am rolling the dice, and it is a 9. If you roll 7 to 9, go to 331. Okay, so I'm going to 331. See what's happening there. The following day, the weather becomes bitterly cold. Oh, dear.
Oh.
That's not good, is it? bitterly cold. Wind from the north brings a hail of ice that stings your face relentlessly. By midday, you're engulfed in a blizzard that makes the progress slow and tiring. Told you we shouldn't have gone this way.
Ah.
The howling wind forces you to dismount from your sledge and push it. You feel utterly exhausted. Your hands and toes are numb with cold. Time for a glass of wine, I reckon.
Yeah.
By the time you reach the glacier's edge, it's nearly nightfall. You're all so exhausted, you've got barely any energy left to pitch your tents and eat a meal. Disaster has all but overtaken you. This is bad. You have frostbite in your toes, fingers, and nose. Unless you have the Kai discipline of healing, which I do, you lose 4 endurance points. So I don't lose any endurance points because I'm hard. And I have to pick a number between 1 and 10 at random. So the number chosen is 8. If it's 5 to 9, go to 288. I've got a feeling higher is worse, so I don't think higher is good on these occasions.
No.
Doesn't sound like that was a good one, was it? 288. Okay, let's see. During the night, a gale sweeps across the ice shelf and buries your tent in snow while you're sleeping. The canvas is forced in upon the 4 of you with your sleeping furs become soaking wet. You wake at dawn with terrible cramps in both your legs. It takes nearly an hour of massaging your frozen limbs before you're able to stand properly. You are beginning to wish you'd never set foot in this icy hell, nor listen to Inside Man's advice on which route to take. Yeah, I definitely agree. 167 you go to now. The gale gradually drops, the air clears, and the Vlad Glacier is revealed in all its grand splendor. The even surface of ice crystals looks like a carpet of snow glittering with gems of every hue. The ice wall rises over 800 feet, and for the main part of it is smooth but a very steep climb. Although the weather is fine, it takes the best part of a day to climb the glacier's edge. All of the equipment has to be unloaded and taken to the top of the glacier where it is repacked onto the sledges. The canoe dogs do hardly anything but fight, and your food is so shaken up in the climb that a gruesome mush is all that remains of it. By the end of the climb, you are exhausted. With daylight fading, you decide to pitch camp in the shelter of the natural ice bowl and settle down to a much-needed night's rest. Pick a number from the random number table. If you possess tracking, deduct 2. Well, I do possess tracking. So, yeah, Desert Phoenix. Now, this guy's a big fan of Lone Wolf. I didn't know there was going to be a second read. Now, neither did I, mate. I normally do a stream around this time on Tuesday. And because we didn't have a film chosen to talk about, I decided to do the Lone Wolf thing. And the Inside Man has popped on to be with me on this one.
Yeah, to be educated, I think.
Yeah, because he's a really good navigator. So far, he's taken me into a snowdrift, a deadly ice glacier, and now I've got frostbite. Apart from that, he's doing really well.
Yeah.
Okay, I rolled a 6, which -2 is a 4. So if you roll 6 or less, go to 85. I think that's a good thing because if I have tracking, which I do, it said I deduct 2, and I'm assuming that's going to be useful. So I'm hoping that this means I'm not dead. I'm not dead. That's good. For 3 days and nights, you fight your way northwards across the tortuous glacier, cursing the Inside Man with every step and making you take this decision. However, you count yourself very lucky to have so far avoided a blizzard. And after a fatiguing trek, you eventually reach the shelter of Cloudmaker Mountain. Now, that is on the map, but it's on my map here. I think it's quite difficult to see on that one. Cloudmaker Mountain is pretty near this fortress. But don't forget, not only have I got to get to the fortress, I've got to take this guy prisoner and bring him back as well. So, yeah. You can see Cloudmaker Mountain. It's there, look. That's Cloudmaker Mountain. Okay. So the fortress is just above it. It's about here.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And on my map, it's sort of there. You can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So we're pretty close.
That's not too bad. I think, and also I think made pretty good time as well. I'd say.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
so despite the the frostbite and everything. I think.
And the mushy rations that are
Mushy
now
rations,
some sort of congealed pot noodle affair.
Yeah.
The huge mountain is over 13,000 feet high. How tall is Everest? Is it
35, I think,
it's not as
in
tall
that
as
ballpark.
Everest. And it's shaped like a giant shark's fin. As the cold west winds blow around its peak, great plumes of cloud trail away across the glacier. It is a strange phenomenon which gives the mountain its apt name. Fortunately, you are able to find an ideal campsite among the shattered fissures at its rock-strewn base. Quickly, the tent is up and you're under canvas once again. You have left the tent to answer the call of nature. I love that. Not to take a piss. When you discover purely by chance what appears to be the faint glow of torchlight seeping from a small crack in the rocks above. If you have the Kai discipline of sixth sense, so that's like feel the force, Luke, what's going on?
Yeah.
Which I do, because you can add a new skill with every book. You get 5 skills at the beginning of the game, and then each time you succeed in the adventure at the end of the book, you get to add another skill. So I've got 7 now. And the skill that I added for this book was Sixth Sense, which came up time and again, and I was cursing myself that I didn't have it. So I do have the skill of Sixth Sense. So what is it telling me? Let's have a look. I bet it's telling me not to go and investigate the light, which is dangerous. So I've got to go to 98. Let's have a look. Maybe it's telling me it's a breezy Krampus. You sense the presence of someone or something lurking inside the fissure. You're unable to tell if their intentions are good or evil. If you want to explore the fissure, turn to 49. If you want to return to the tent, go to 212. So I've got 2 options. Explore the fissure or not.
Right. Now, who's going to make this particular decision here?
Well, I'm looking towards you for advice,
Yeah.
of course. That's why you're here.
Well, okay, I'd explore it.
Explore it. That sounds like a dangerous option, Inside Man. If the
Danger's
next thing,
my middle name.
yeah, okay. I'm saying I might have backed away. So, but we'll see. Oh, hello, lots. There's a big section. I've got to read a shitload of stuff out now. Yeah, danger is your middle name. Okay. Well, technically, your middle name is Inside, the Inside Man. You've climbed 15 feet to a thin ice ledge. From here, you've got a clear view of the fissure. You're already cursing the Inside Man for making you make this decision. You think you catch a glimpse of someone in the distance when suddenly the ice gives way beneath your feet, and you are definitely cursing the Inside Man. You fall headlong into a roaring tumble of granite and snow. You prepare yourself for the shock of the impact, but plunge straight into a crevasse hidden beneath a layer of powdery snow. Thanks. So Mr. Macy has said explore. So he was voting for your option.
Thanks, David.
Huge stalactites of crystal hang from its icy ceiling. Oh, when you eventually free yourself, you're astounded by the sight that meets you. A vast corridor disappears away into the distance as far as the eyes can see. So I've fallen into some kind of tunnel. Stalactites, I shout for help, but no one can hear. You still have your weapons, gold crowns, and special items, but I don't have my backpack, which is still in the tent. Fair enough. Looking up, you see the hole through which you've fallen. It's now just a tiny speck on the roof of the passage. You notice that the strange light of the corridor seems to come from large stone bowls hanging from the ceiling. These are Chianti Malar bowls, a source of eternal light brought to Magnamund by the ancients years ago. Okay, so lights, basically.
Yeah.
Very Avatar. You soon realise that your guides may never find out where you are, and you quickly resolve to follow the corridor in hope of finding another exit. After 2 hours of walking, you arrive at a junction where the corridor splits in 2. If you have the Kai discipline of tracking, which I do, turn to page 342. Well, I'm definitely going to use my tracking, and I guess that's going to tell me which pathway is the most frequently used. 342. Your Kai discipline of tracking reveals to you that the right tunnel heads east and the left tunnel heads north. You are now directly beneath Cloudmaker Mountain. Consult the map of Kalte at the beginning of the book before you decide which tunnel. So if I go north, I'm going to be
Will that
going.
take us under the fortress?
Well, it's in the right direction of the fortress, but it's not going
Yeah.
to take me back to the camp, and I'll lose my guides and my backpack.
But
So I
what's the
think
objective? I mean,
it's
surely
also
the
got
objective is
my
that.
backpack's got my healing potion in it, and I think I'm going to go east. I'm going to have to veto you on this. North is potentially very dangerous. Okay. After following the tunnel for over a mile, its ice walls open into a beautiful grotto. Meltwater cascades over a large outcrop of silvery mineral, which casts a dazzling display of reflections around the surrounding surfaces. You can see there's a small cave located behind the waterfall that disappears into the silvery rock. Looking around, you can't see any other exits from the grotto. So basically, I can either enter the cave or go back. Well, I might as well enter the cave, don't you think?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
82. Just seen a picture of a big monster, but that's not for this bit. The cave is very cold and slopes steeply away in the darkness. Once more, you curse the inside man for making you make this stupid decision. You have covered 60 yards before you notice a light in the distance. As you get nearer, you hear noises. They're animal noises. If you have the Kai discipline of animal kinship, as in Tarzan skills, no, I do not. If you do not possess this skill, you can draw your weapon and charge the noises, or you can creep closer and spy on them and try and see whatever's lurking there. So in other words, approach stealthily or just charge in.
I'd go stealthily this time.
I think stealthily is good.
Yeah.
107, because they might be friendly.
Mm.
It could even be my own guys. I suspect probably not. As I peer into the large ice cavern beyond, I'm horrified to see 3 large, ugly creatures roaring and clawing at each other. They are fighting over a mutilated Baknar carcass lying at their feet. They are Kulkoth, wild and savage predators of Kalte. Oh, great. So, out of the frying pan and into the fire. This is what they look like. They look like this guy here. See that?
Oh, nice.
That one. That one. Fun times. Okay. Yeah. So, they are Kalkoth wide, and if you have smeared Baknar oil into your skin, kinky. I don't remember doing that. Turns 202. If you have not coated yourself in the skin, you can avoid the Kalkoth by retracing your steps, or I can launch a surprise attack on the squabbling creatures. So there's 3 of them.
Yeah,
but I do have a very powerful sword.
Oh, right, okay.
So
I would. I think at this point I'd probably retrace my steps.
Well, yeah, that's that's definitely a inside man move. Okay. Yeah, I feel that these things are going to be pretty mean. So I feel retracing steps is a good idea. 284, because they've got stingers.
Yeah,
on them.
three on one.
I think which can paralyze you, if I remember rightly. Okay, this section doesn't sound good either. After a few hundred yards, you find yourself standing in a huge cavern which spreads out in all directions as far as the eye can see. Once again, you curse the inside man for making you make this decision. You've entered the Caverns of Kalte. Oh, right. So I'm now in the Caverns of Kalte, whether I want to be or not. And you are now looking upon an uncharted world that few Summerlending have ever seen. This massive underground labyrinth was constructed by the ancients many ages ago, before the Summerlanding or the Kaltes set foot in Magnamund. It was said to appease the gods of the inside man, to give him a private toilet in which to use his bowels. Interesting. Species of creature whom the ice holds no discomforts, the Shanti Bowls still hang from the ceiling, bathing the caverns in light. Okay, so it's light. You'll trek northwards. You trek northwards. Oh, I'm going north now. So it looks like I'm heading towards this. So God knows where my guides are. I tread north for 6 hours until I arrive at the bank of a fast-flowing meltwater river. So there's an underground river now. On the opposite side stands the inside man laughing, saying, "Ha ha, led you the wrong way." No, I see a tunnel leading off in the distance. You can find no apparent way of crossing the deep water except by using the ice floes that are bobbing up and down on the surface. Sod that. That sounds like Mario.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be deadly and dangerous.
Yeah.
You'll have to jump at least 3 icy slabs in order to reach the other side. Oh, okay. Well, I've got to do it anyway because there's no other way to go. Pick a number from the random number table. Right, I'm gonna put the die roller up this time, for shits and giggles because it's more fun that way. Okay, so here is the die roller. All right, there's my dice, which are kind of hidden off screen, but I'm going to be rolling the D10. But there's a caveat. It says, if you have the Kai discipline of hunting, which I do, you may add 2 to the number you have picked. Okay, well, I'm going to roll the dice and we'll see what happens. 7 to 9. I'm guessing 9 is good. If your score is now 4 or higher, if your current endurance points is less than 8, and okay, my endurance is fine. So I turn to 176. I'm assuming that means I've navigated the first ice flow thing.
Yeah.
You run for, I think I've done all of them. You run for the tunnel entrance, quickly leaving the icy river behind. Look at that.
That's not bad.
What skill? God, there's a picture of a really horrible looking creature here. This is, I'll show you this quickly. That's on the other page. I haven't got there yet. It's like an octopus meets a rhinoceros.
Yeah.
Not fun. Okay, so I run for the tunnel entrance, quickly leaving the icy river. I follow the tunnel for countless hours. So I think I've been in this tunnel for like about 2 days now. The perpetual half-light of these caverns never changes. Through fissures in the wall of the tunnel, I capture glimpses of other chambers. Makes you marvel at the sheer scale of this ancient labyrinth. Okay. You are nearly asleep on your feet when you suddenly detect the aroma of cooked meat. Up ahead, there's a McDonald's. No. It is coming from a chamber just a few yards ahead to your right. The delicious aroma reminds you that you're very hungry and must soon eat a meal. Yeah, and guess where my meals are inside, man? They're in my backpack.
Oh, where's your backpack?
It's in the camp. So I don't have any of my
Where's
meals.
the camp?
Exactly. Right,
Yeah.
so I can either investigate this chamber or ignore it. Oh, good to see Darth Plato's popped in. Nice to see you, mate. Thanks for popping in. Okay, so my gut feeling is I should investigate the McDonald's smelling chamber, but I can also continue on and follow the tunnel that goes towards away from the smelling meat. What do you reckon?
Well, I think you're going to need some sustenance, to be honest. But
yeah, because when it asks you to eat, and if you can't hunt, you automatically lose endurance points. I haven't lost any yet, but I don't want to start losing them now. So I think I'm going to approach the smell of the roasted meat. Of course, it could be a trap, as Admiral Akbar would say.
Yeah, it could be.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
There you go. I think you were better, actually. That sounded good. The inside man may have been Admiral Akbar in Return of the Jedi. It's a possibility. No, there is not a vegan option. No. Okay. Oh, there's a picture for this one. You see 2 men in ragged clothes huddled together beside a fire that is burning inside a metal bowl. Over the flames, the skin carcass of a small animal is being roasted on a spit. Okay, I'm going to show you this picture in a sec. The men are old and mumble incessantly under their breath as they stare deeply into the flames. If you wish to approach them and ask them to share some of their food, that's one option. I can choose to raise weapons and attack them, or I can ignore them and sneak back and go back the other way. Now, before we make that decision, or before we discuss it, shall we say, this is what he looks like.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So he's quite an old geezer, but he looks like he
Mhm.
might be quite handy with that harpoon.
Mm.
I mean, I'm inclined to say that it might be worth approaching them and trying to parlay.
Yeah. I mean, that would be my option.
No point in making enemies where I don't need to.
No.
Okay, so let's do that. I approach and ask them to share their meal. Hang on. Upon seeing you enter, the two old men jump to their feet and flee from the chamber by a small passageway. So they've legged it. Their screams of panic echo throughout the caverns. So that's a bit like the scene in Lord of the Rings where the guy knocks that chest down the tunnel and sort of goes, oh, and suddenly you hear all that. That's what's just happened.
Yeah.
You are very hungry and quickly consume the animal meat, pausing only to spit out the bones. You then notice that the fire is burning in a strange half spherical metal bowl. The other half of the sphere lies on the floor nearby, and you find that both halves fit together perfectly. When you open it, you discover that the fire still burns inside. If you wish to keep the fire spear, make a note of it in your special items. I think I will keep that. That sounds good, doesn't it?
That's not a bad little find.
Basically, it's an automatic gas stove.
Yeah.
Fire spear. David is asking, what are they guarding? I don't think it's probably a guard post. And they were just eating a meal, and they've got a magical way. It's like a magic cooking pot, which produces a fire when you put the two halves of it together. You also notice a small triangle of blue stone lying on the RC floor. It's attached to a neck chain and was probably dropped by the old men as they fled. If you wish to keep the blue stone triangle and put it around your neck, or tuck it into your jacket, you can record it as a special item. Well, I think I'll keep that. I can have a maximum of 12 special items. So that's a blue stone triangle. That sounds like one of those quality street sweets, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes, it does. Yeah.
Now I've said that. Now I've said that out loud. I've got a craving for them. There's only about 3 of them that I like now, though.
Yeah, same here. Yeah,
all the toffee ones pull my teeth out, and I've not got many left.
Yeah, I like the Brazil ones. You know, the big.
Oh, mate, they're the ones with the massive nut in the middle.
Yeah, they're nice. Yeah.
You know, you can get a whole box of those. Just Brazil nuts.
Yeah. Have you seen the big giant ones that you can get?
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah.
Mate, now I know what to get you for Christmas. You're always sending me all these little presents, and now I know what to send you in return.
Just a big Brazil nut covered in chocolate.
All right, you can return to the. Is that a euphemism? So 132. So I'm basically going back to that number. And continuing on. 132. Unless you've eaten a meal, you lose 3 endurance. Well, I just ate a meal, so I'm good. You continue along the tunnel for over a mile before becoming too tired to go any further. You stop and rest for a while and fall into a deep sleep. You awaken feeling refreshed, but you have no idea how long you've been sleeping. The strange light in the cavern never changes. Stoically, you press on. In one vast chamber, you are mesmerized by a beautiful light of shimmering crystal ceiling, but beyond this chamber lies an even greater spectacle. A narrow passage leads onto a ledge around the brink of a huge chasm. It's more than half a mile wide. Ooh. Right, I'm guessing I'm not going to be able to jump that. As you edge your way around this awesome void, you try not to look down. Yeah, no shit. You've only been on the ledge for a few minutes when a noise behind you makes you glance back over your shoulder. To your horror, you see you're being followed along the ledge by a monstrous 2-headed serpent. If you possess the Kai disciplines of either tracking or animal kinship, turn to 229. Well, fortunately, I do possess tracking. So I will turn to 229 and not to number 88, which probably leads to your journey ends here.
Yeah.
Those are the ones where you die. And sometimes they happen very abruptly, and it's kind of a bit unfair. You
Can it
recognise...
just sorry, can that happen just come out of the blue? Can that that your
Yeah,
journey
you
ends
could.
here come out
There's
of the
two
blue?
ways you can die. You can die in combat, or you can die by making a wrong choice.
Right.
And some of them are a bit like, there was one where I didn't have enough money. This is how I died in the last book. I
Mm.
didn't have enough money to stay in the tavern, so I went and slept in the hayloft.
Yeah.
And it just said, unfortunately, you failed to detect that one of the passengers in your coach that you just travelled with was an assassin. And he killed you while you were sleeping in the hayloft. And I thought, well, that's a bit fucking shit. I'm supposed to have all these cool skills, and I didn't even get to like detect him sneaking up on me or have a chance. But I had to go back and replay that section, get some money, stay in the tavern. And then in the tavern, I was served food, which I spotted had been poisoned. So I confronted all the guests. And I guessed that the one who had the meanest looking picture in the book was actually the guy that was probably the assassin, who was the priest. And sure enough, he was, and I killed him. So, but that's how I died in the last. But I felt that was really unfair, because I was trapped in that loop for a while because I kept not having enough money to stay in the inn. So I kept having to stay in the hayloft, which automatically led to your death, which felt a bit mean.
Yeah.
Okay, I recognise the serpent to be a Javek, which is a two-headed, deadly poisonous snake. It moves very quickly, and you know you'll not be able to outrun it. If you possess a fire spear, which I do because I just picked it up, that's the two bits of the bowl.
There you go.
Turn to page 46. If you don't, turn to 88. I'm curious to see if 88 is you're dead.
Yeah, I think we kind of know what 88 might be.
88, you have to fight it. It's not an automatic. It's not an automatic kill, but it can poison you and paralyze you. So I think if you take an injury, you can be dead really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to 46. However, there's a picture of it. There you go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's
Or
pretty.
not so nice.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty horrible looking creature. All right, so I'm going to 44 instead. So I'm guessing the fire spear is going to do something. Oh, hang on a minute. That's not right. Okay, let me... I think I've gone wrong on a number somewhere. Let me go to 88 and just go past, because I think the fire spear gets rid of the snake. So 269 it would be. 269. You reach a tunnel on the far side of the chasm and you follow it. Okay, so we're going to assume that the fire spear scared the snake away, but and then I probably would have gone to this. You reach a tunnel on the far side of the chasm and follow it for many miles. So I'm really traveling a long way.
Yeah.
Eventually you arrive at an enormous chamber. I do love that word, enormous. The ceiling of which towers easily 500 feet above you. It's about the same height as your greenhouse, isn't it?
A little bit smaller, actually.
I thought so. An icy wind blowing through many fissures in the ceiling. It's a giant subterranean hall. If you decide to search for a way of climbing up and out through the fissures, turn to blah blah. Or if you choose to press on and look for an exit on the far side of this grand hall. So are we climbing up or are we looking for an exit? Climbing up sounds dangerous.
It does. It's got to be the searching for the exit, really, I think.
Okay. You discover a low passage that comes out into a cavern full of stalagmites. There are two exits in the opposite wall. Both disappear into darkness. In the snow around the entrances of the tunnels are many strange tracks. Guess what it says? If you possess the discipline of tracking, which I do, turn to page 75. Okay. Bloody good that I got the tracking thing, because I got that. I think I had that picked at the beginning. And it wasn't particularly useful in the first book, but in the second book, it was quite useful. In this book, I've needed it like all the time. Desert Phoenix is bowing out.
Mm.
Mate, this will stay on the channel. So he's a big fan of Lone Wolf. So just you can come back and watch it. And I might catalogue the stream so
Excellent.
you can see where I got to by clicking on different times. Okay, the tracks have been made by dangerous carnivorous creatures called Baknar. Well, I know what they are. If you run into them in the confines of the dark, your chances of survival will be very slim. Well, all I need to do is use the firebowl on them, and they'll run off because they're scared of fire, aren't they?
Yeah.
Although your Kai discipline has enabled you to identify the tracks, I'm unable to sense which tunnel the Baknar now occupy. So left or right? It's like flipping a coin, isn't it? Left or right?
Right. Okay. So it's just thinking. Right. So it's still heading north. Right. So I
Yeah.
would say right.
Yeah, that was my thinking actually, and that's 114. All right, 114. Let's see. You have covered less than 50 yards when you arrive in another cavern. What a surprise! Lying upon a raised diocese of ice in the center of this frozen chamber is a Baknar, a fierce creature. It appears to be asleep. The shredded remains of an animal lie scattered. Okay, so it's just eaten. If you have the discipline of hunting, go to 279. Okay, well I do. So let's see what that does, because I think it might enable me to move past it and not wake it up. At least there's only one of them. Baknar are known to sleep for up to 3 days after a feast, judging by the number of freshly stripped bones. You can slip past the snoring creature and hurry out of the chamber. Go to 235. Okay, so he's out for the count. So
Yeah,
it's all
definitely.
good. All right, good. So I don't have to fight him. After a short walk, you arrive at a grand ice hall that is full of crystal stalagmites and stalactites. The floor is covered with animal tracks and bones, yet the vast hall seems empty of life. Does that mean that there's an even bigger creature that's eaten all the smaller creatures, perhaps?
It does kind of indicate that, doesn't it?
There's an illustration over leaf. Okay. Oh, hang on a sec. Okay, let me read the rest. The north wall is completely smooth. You're looking at the wall when suddenly you realise the foundation stones of Ikea. So I found the way into the fortress. I've arrived at the ice fortress. So I got there. So maybe this route was the wise route after all.
Yes.
Partly obscured by large mounds of crystals, you can just make out a ramp leading to a massive stone door. Your discovery brings renewed hope. If you're able to gain entry into Ikea this way and quickly capture Vonotar, there is still enough time remaining for you to reach your ship, the Cardinal, before the ice pack begins to freeze. If you decide to cross the ice hall and examine the stone door, and if I decide to stop and make a search of the bone-littered floor. Well, so this is what the door looks like.
Right.
Okay. I think I should search the floor.
Yeah, there might be something.
There might be like a valuable item.
Yeah.
There might also be some sort of sleeping creature, but we'll take the chance, I think. In my experience, you should always search. You discover many bones scattered among the stalactites of human origin, shattered skulls and skeletal hands of former independent film producers and directors who did not make it in the industry. You're about to did I go off a tangent? You're about to abandon your search when your eye is caught by a small box. It is made of finely carved bone. If you wish to pick up this box, turn to 218. If you prefer to leave it where it is and go and examine the door. So is it a trap?
It's a trap.
I think I'm going to have to examine it.
Yeah.
The bone contains a beautiful diamond. Its many facets gleam and sparkle. In Summerland, a jewel of this size and quality would be worth 1,000 gold crowns. My God.
Good Lord.
If you wish to keep the diamond, is the Pope a Catholic? I think I will. Okay, a diamond. That's worth quite a few beanie hats from the Inside Man, I reckon.
Yeah.
Diamond of Kalte, we'll call it. Diamond of Kalte, worth 1,000 crowns. All right, okay, good. Now I go and examine the door. So it was worth doing that.
Yeah.
It's always worth searching. because sometimes it's a trap, but most of the time you find something good. As you climb on the slippery stone ramp, the sound of cracking ice makes you spin round. The large mounds of crystals at the base of the ramp are starting to move. The crystals are alive. So those lumps you saw in that picture, they're alive. The mound transforms into a writhing mass of crystal coils. Slowly the coils unwind and a terrible ice creature slithers towards you.
Oh, God.
Right, now, if I wish to evade the creature and just make a run for the door, or do I wish to stand my ground and fight it?
Run.
Yeah, I think run.
Run. Yeah.
My mission is not to take out the creature. As you reach the massive door desperately, you cast your eyes across it in hope of discovering a way to make it open, but it's completely smooth. No handle, lock, or keyhole. The creature will soon reach the top of the ramp. You're about to cry out in sheer desperation when you notice a block of granite set in a nearby wall that has a small triangle cut into it. If you possess the blue stone triangle, which I do, remember I picked it up from those guys.
There you go.
Turn of 41. Okay, so I think that's going to open the door. You remove the blue stone triangle from around your neck. It's a perfect fit. Immediately you feel a tremor. The door begins to open. It's open less than 3 feet. And then it begins to close again without a moment's hesitation. You dive into the fortress. It crashes behind you. You can still keep the blue stone triangle. Okay, good. Well, I will keep it. Turn to 221. So whatever that thing was, some kind of ice dragon or something.
Yeah.
I avoided it. I suspect that creature would have been very powerful. Okay, so I'm now in the fortress. So now we're looking for Vonotar. How are we doing for time? Let's have a look. We are at we're at 12 o'clock. I think I'll probably go until 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that all right with you?
Yeah. No worries, mate.
All right, cool. We may talk about some nonsense at the end. Oh, by the way, my guest tomorrow. Are you on set tomorrow? Or are you off?
Yeah, I'm on set. Yeah. What time?
At 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I moved it from the evening.
Yeah.
Because I've got a commitment in the evening I can't get out of. But at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I've got John. I think it's John Walsh coming on. Who is the biographer of Ray Harryhausen?
Oh, yeah.
And he works on the board with them, and he's also authorized. He co-authorizes the Japanese limited edition models of all the Ray Harryhausen monsters.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, and he's got the full collection in his house, and he's also just finished making the book about the making of Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
But he also did the Dalek book, which I've got here, the Doctor and the Dalek book. So he's on at 3 o'clock tomorrow. I'll mention this again at the end of the stream. And I mean, this. I bought this because Jason Fleming's dad directed both of them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it's an amazing book. I mean, it's got like all these amazing on-set photos, original kind of artwork, and matte paintings that they did. All the different posters, great pictures of the Dalek sets, both movies. Interviews with people that were there. Jason Fleming's done a forward about his dad, you know. Yeah. And there's stuff with all the cast, and it's a really good book. The Conan one looks amazing as well.
And he's done Escape from New York as well, I think.
That's right. Yeah. He's done Escape from New York, and got a very impressive collection of toys. I did a tech test with him.
Yeah.
So hopefully all will be well. So that's who I'm interviewing him tomorrow at 3. So not the normal time.
That's going to be amazing. That will be amazing.
Yeah, it should be. Okay, so where did I go? What was the number?
So we just got through the through the door that closed behind us. So
do you remember the number I was on?
It was.
Was it 221?
I think it was 221.
Yeah, okay. The corridor in which you now stand is far warmer than the icy cavern outside. For the first time in many days, you can lower the hood of your cloak. That sounds right, doesn't it? That must be
Yeah,
the
yeah,
corridor
yeah.
on the other
That's it.
side of the door.
That's definitely it. Yeah.
I can remove my mittens. I've got mittens. I wasn't aware I was wearing mittens. That's why I've got this hat on, because it's the winter book, you see. So that's
Yeah.
why I've got this hat on for this stream. I feel it's appropriate.
Yeah.
You notice the stone passage ascends to a landing. More of those weird light things in the ceiling. You approach the landing. You notice an archway leading into a small room beyond. A strange light meets your eyes. Ragged ferns, pottery shards, and debris of 100 years seem to have been thrown into this chamber. Don't like the sound of that. A large lever protrudes from the wall beside the archway. So there's this little sort of mound of stuff.
Yeah.
And a boot. Is that one of yours?
Yeah. It's one of mine.
I thought so. If you wish to enter the room and investigate the contents, turn to page 38. If you wish to pull the lever, turn to 163. Or if you wish to explore along the passage, so enter the room, pull the lever, or continue along the passage. Something tells me pulling the lever is bad.
Yeah, I think pulling the lever is going to be a bit of a bad move.
But I also think going into the room is some sort of trap, because if you look at the contents, it feels like a trap.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Or continue along the corridor.
I mean, I'll continue along the corridor, because I just got this feeling that pulling the lever would release something that would be pretty horrific.
I'm going to enter the room. I want to see what's in there.
Yeah.
Whilst keeping one eye firmly on the lever.
Yeah.
It's not an option, but I'm gonna use my. I've got a spear on me. No, I've got an axe. I'm going to use my axe to prop up the lever, so the lever can't suddenly fall down. Now, it doesn't say that in the book, but we're just going to agree that we've done that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, all right, cool. So after 10 minutes spent searching the room, you discover an old fur backpack. Oh, so I've now got a backpack. And a long coil of rope. You may take this backpack only if you do not have one. I don't have one. The long rope counts as 2 backpack items, as it takes up extra space. Finally satisfied, there is nothing else of value in this junk-filled room apart from an old pair of the inside man's underpants. You leave and continue your exploration along the passageway. Okay, 237 I'm going to. So that was worth doing then.
Yeah.
237. So I've got hang on, I need to write that down. So I've got a rope. I've got a backpack which doesn't have that potion in it. So I'm gonna have to kind of mark that as. I guess I'm probably not going to get my original backpack back, am I? I think we can say that those guys are gone.
That's lost. Yeah.
So okay, so it's got rope, which counts as 2 items. So I've got space for 6 more items in my backpack. Okay. Okay, very good. All right. So now, (237). You soon reach the bottom of a flight of broad stone steps that ascend to a landing 30 feet above. The center of each step has been worn smooth by the feet of countless creatures that once inhabited the lower levels of the icy cold Achaea. Now, while I'm on full thing, so here's the map again. So I'm at the fortress at the top now. So that's where I've got, and I've got to get back to the ship, which is somewhere in the middle of that ice flow.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I mean, I'm sure there's an option in the book. You probably could have gone via that town. Maybe I'm going to end up in it on the way back. Okay. So far, you've neither seen nor heard another living soul in these deserted passages. You have the element of surprise. You can now pray that Vonotar is unprepared for an intruder from the depths of his own fortress. You reach a landing, pass through an empty hallway. Here the passage splits. You are hungry and you must now eat or lose 3 endurance points. I don't have any meals because my meals were in my backpack. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check that, but I'm pretty sure meals are stored in the backpack. Food. Yeah, you have it in your backpack. Yeah, food goes in your backpack. But meals count as one item, so you can have, you can have endless meals in your backpack. I guess they're like miniature pot noodles or something.
Oh, nice.
But they were in my backpack, so I don't have my 7 meals. So my 7 meals are non-existent. So at the minute, I've got 0 meals. So now, but I have the Kai skill of healing. So even though my endurance has now gone down to 21 from 24, let me put that number up there so I don't forget it. Every time I go through a section of the book and I don't have combat, I heal by 1.
Right.
Because I can use my skill of healing to do that. So which is quite useful. Okay, I've got an east or west passage. Which way am I going? East or west? Page 92 or 297.
East.
Okay, east 92. All right, let's do it. We are. Yeah. You walk along the passage for several minutes until it takes left into another corridor. To your dismay, you see a huge fissure has destroyed most of the walls and the floor of this new passageway. There's a gaping hole that is left behind it. It's dark and wide. If you possess a rope, turn to 133.
Yeah.
If you don't possess the rope, you have no alternative but to retrace your steps and explore the other tunnel. Well, I guess I'll go 133 anyway, because I do have a rope. So just as well I search that room, eh? There's a shanty bowl hanging from the ceiling. One of those. If you want to try and attach your rope to the bowl and then use it to swing across the fissure, this is very Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it really is.
If you decide not to risk this, you may return to the passageway and take another route. I think I should take another route.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's wherever there's an obstacle, there's always something that's
all right,
kind
fine.
of
Okay. All right,
yeah.
we'll be Indiana Jones. So the bowl creaks alarmingly. The splinters of stone fall from the ceiling as you swing across the black fissure. But you are lucky. The rope holds and you land safely on the other side. The inside man, for once, has given you good advice. With a flick of your wrist, you unhook and retrieve the rope before setting off along the passage. You've only gone a few yards when you notice an arched stone door to your left. It is adorned with many strange carvings. The carvings depict hundreds of skeletons entwined around a smooth block of stone. To the side door, you see a lever protruding from the wall. It's in the raised position. So there's another lever that I've got an option of pulling. And these are the skeleton things.
Right.
Now, Keith has said previously, never pull a lever. Well, I don't know whether I should or not. I didn't pull the last lever. Feels like I should pull this one, but then if you wish to pull the lever and open the door, so presumably it opens the door, or if you wish to continue along the passage. So pull the lever and open the door, and potentially unleash skeletons from a box, or continue along the passageway.
Yeah, I think it's going to release something nasty.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, what do we do? Or chat? Does any? Keith is saying, go to the lever. Okay, so now he's saying pull the lever. Second time's a charm. So you're saying pull the lever. All right. Okay, Keith, I'm deferring to you. The stone door grinds slowly to open to reveal a small, dimly lit chamber. A black monolith, like the one in 2001, stands 8 feet tall directly in front of you. It's covered with strange symbols. You are advancing to get a clearer look at the markings when suddenly the door behind you starts to close. You skip a heartbeat when you notice that there's no other exit in the chamber. Do you wish to make a dive through the quickly shrinking gap, or do you choose to stay where you are? Now, before we make that decision, these are the markings on the monolith. Clearly graffiti art of the day.
Yeah.
I feel that we should dive the fuck out of here.
Yeah, so
I
do
think
I.
if I stay there, I might get squished or
Yeah.
something bad will happen.
Yeah.
So there was those skeletons around the box. Remember that?
Yep.
Symbol's death. I think that's bad. So I think we dive out of the room.
Yeah.
The door is closing fast. There's very little space to get through. Pick a number on the random table. If you have the Kai discipline of hunting, you may add 3. Well, I do have the Kai discipline of hunting, so I will add 3. Let's see what happens. Okay. This should definitely have Raiders of the Lost Ark, sort of dun 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 music playing.
Yeah.
Well, this is David Macy saying, "Get to the chopper." I'm not sure we're at that bit yet. Okay, I've got to roll the
chopper.
Guys, I'm going to roll the dice. Going to go public on this one. So now I'm going to add 3 to this die roll. So here we go. Let's roll the dice. We want high, I think. Adding 3. It's 6. That's 9. That's good. So if you roll 8 or higher, turn to 113. So I think I'm in luck. And I'm really sensing now that this was the right move, because otherwise they wouldn't make it difficult for you to get out the door. So I think if I'd stayed in that room, I think I would have died. So let's have a look. So 113. Your lightning fast reactions have saved you from being crushed by the closing door. After checking and adjusting your equipment, you set off along the corridor. So we're never going to know the secret of the Monolith of Doom. But we survived.
I mean, I'm pretty pleased with that. Yeah. I mean,
that seems like a good decision. All right, so 63. Here we go. 63. You follow this passage northwards until it turns abruptly towards the west. A few yards ahead, you see a flight of stone steps, which ascend to an archway 30 feet above. Just past the staircase, you notice another door. There's a lever in the wall. I think levers generally open doors here. I guess that's kind of the thing. The lever is raised and the door is firmly closed. If you wish to climb the stairs, 323. If you wish to investigate the door, 246. Do we want to investigate? I mean, we've got to find this guy. We don't know where he is, though, do we? That's the problem.
No, but I think,
I think investigate the door.
Yeah.
It doesn't say we're opening it. Oh, it does. You depress the lever and the stone door slides smoothly aside to reveal a large chamber. It's cold, stale, and empty, save for a granite chest positioned near its east wall.
Oh.
Now, I've got an option of going into the room and examining this chest.
Yeah.
Or ignoring the chamber and continuing up the stairs. Have you seen the Dungeons and Dragons movie yet?
No, I've not seen it.
Well, they've got something in that called a mimic, which is, it looks like a treasure chest, but it's actually a monster. And when the lift of the chest opens up, it's like a mouth with teeth. So it's a bit like the monster in The Thing.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, nice.
So my decision is going to be that I'm going to ignore it and I'm going to go up the stairs. So that's 323. But I'm curious to see.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that.
I'm curious to see if I was right. So we're going to commit to that decision. So we're going to go 323. So even if it's not dangerous and the chest is full of gold and all that kind of thing, I'm not going to allow myself to take the monies. So let's see what happens. 45. The faces of grotesque and distorted creatures adorn the surfaces of the chest. Their obscene expressions and unnatural proportions make you shudder with revulsion. Remember the opening of Sword and the Sorcerer? Anyone? Remember with all the faces on the treasure chest?
Yeah.
On the lid, there's a hideous face around a key hole, and it's asking me if I have this key. Looks like this.
Right. Okay.
I don't have that key. So I'm guessing that that's bad, but let's see what would have happened. Turn to 15. Well, that doesn't look good. There's a whole load of options. All right. Well, presumably it's quite difficult to open the chest.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I said I was ignoring it, so I'm gonna stick to my guns, and I climb 100 stone steps before arriving at a narrow landing. I've got to pick a random number. If I have the Kai discipline of 6th sense or tracking, add 3 to the number. I do. So let's do that. Roll. I have rolled a
Can I
4. Yep.
Can I just quickly? I need to. I got to drop out for 10 minutes, right?
Go
I'll
for it.
be
Go for it.
I'll be
I'll keep
straight
going.
back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
no
mate.
problem.
I'll be straight back.
I'll
Okay.
drop you out. Okay, so the inside man will be back. So I have gone 5 or higher. So I go to 2. Let's see what happens. Number 2. No jokes, please. Away to your right, you notice the outline of a stone door. It is cunningly concealed by the intricate wall carving depicting a Kalkoth hunt. A closer examination of the folds of the carving reveals a bone lever. If you wish to pull the bone lever, 290. Well, I think I do. I could continue climbing the stairs, but as this was a hidden door, I think it's got to be worth doing, isn't it? So let's check it out. 290, hidden door. The stone door moves to one side, reveals a narrow archway beyond which is swirling mist. The curious mist hides whatever may be inside. You are aware of a severe drop in temperature. If you have Kai discipline of 6th sense, or you have reached Kai rank of Guardian, seven disciplines I have, turn to 341. Okay. So I think this might be telling me to piss off. You can sense the presence of a powerful life force somewhere beyond the misty arch. As you concentrate, you suddenly recall a tale told to you when you were a small child. The legend of the Vading Gate. This was a tale of ice demons and how they once fought a war to be able to leave their doomed world and come to Kalte. They were formless creatures without shape and substance, existing as pure energy beyond the confines of space. The ice demons discovered the Vading Gate as a sort of door between their world and Magnamund, and they fought each other to enter this gate, unaware of the fate that awaited them there. The ancients, or Shanti as they're called in the south, had also discovered the gate. As the ice demons passed through the gate, they were imprisoned in crystals led by cunning ancients who harnessed their power. You also remember the tale warned against destroying their crystal prisons, for it would release an ice demon which would seek to claim the body of its rescuer. Forewarned by your Kai skill, you enter the misty archway. Hang on, wait. I'm entering it? Surely forewarned by my skill, I'm pissing off and saying this is a very bad idea. Okay. 264. Right. You enter the massive chamber, ill-lit, icy cold. It is hidden. It is a hidden temple of the ancients. The floor is made of slabs of quartz. This is pretty scary, guys. Upon this altar lies a strange statue which seems to be carved of smooth white stone. At its head and feet, black staves rest upright in holes bored into the altar. To the left of the altar is a darkened archway through which there's a flight of stairs that ascends out of view. If you wish to cross the temple floor, turn to 60. If you wish to cross the temple floor only by stepping on the quartz flagstones, turn to 168. If you wish to cross stepping on the granite stones only. Oh, what did it just say in that last thing? There was something about not disturbing ice. So I think I'll step only on the granite, which is 244. Carefully, you make your way across the temple floor until you stand next to the altar. The statue appears to be cold and lifeless, but you sense something or someone is trapped inside it. You can almost hear their desperate pleas for release. That's what it warned me about. Yeah, if I die before he gets back, now, if you wish to strike the statue with a weapon, if you do not possess a weapon or you decide to leave the temple, you can head. Yeah, I'm not striking that statue because that's going to release the demon, which is what my studies have warned me about. Okay, so we're on to 306. As you pass through the archway, you notice there's a lever, another lever, guys, set into the stone wall. Let me put the map back up because I think that's always nice to have it on there. Here we go. Okay. So you pull it and a door slides across, sealing the temple behind you. The temperature is noticeably warmer. Ahead, I can hear a rumbling sound in the distance. I can see a light at the end of the passageway. You discover it is shining out of an oblong portal positioned close to the floor. Through this aperture, you can see the floor of a corridor below. I can either carry on down the passage or I can squeeze through this tiny portal and drop into the passage below. I think I should continue on. I think dropping down there seems like a bit of a risky proposition. So that's 206. Is it 2? No, 6. I continue along is 6. Sorry. You advance into the darkness, feeling your edge of your weapon for any obstruction ahead. The tunnel continues northwards for more than a mile. Beyond the opening, there's a staircase that descends into the dark. If you wish to investigate the portal, if you can descend the stairs. Okay, there's another portal. So I could either jump through the portal again or descend the stairs. I'll descend the stairs. 166. Oh, inside man is not yet back. 166. Yeah, and I really don't want to die before we go. At the bottom of the staircase, you discover a new tunnel going northwards. You're about to follow it when your hand touches upon a lever protruding from the wall to your right. A closer examination reveals a secret door. Do you wish to open it? Yes, I do. So let's go 111. Door slides open to reveal a wide, well-lit corridor running north to south. The low rumbling noise you detected earlier seems much louder here than in the darkness of the passage you left behind. Okay. Set into the left side of the corridor wall is a closed door, and in the distance you can see a junction. So if you decide to close the secret door and then continue exploring the tunnel, yeah, I think I better close the door. So I'll do that. 336. 336. Before I approach the junction. You've covered no more than 20 yards when you arrive at the foot of another staircase. You ascend to the top of the steps and see a faint light in the distance. It is spread out along the floor. As you move towards it, you see light coming from another portal. Through its opening, you see an old man huddled in the corner of a cell below. His hair is matted with... Oh, okay, so those are prison cells I'm seeing below. Leave as I your Siri. Okay. As you move towards it, through its opening, you see an old... Yeah, okay, got the old man. His hair is matted in dry blood and grime. Well, if I drop down into the thing, I'm going to be in prison with him. Should I call out to him or say nothing? I think I should call out to him. 247. I can't leave him there. He might have valuable information. Maybe I can rescue him. I am a Kai after all. Slowly, the old man raises his head. His eyes are tired and his face is bruised. He struggles to his feet and peers. Who lurks there? Is that you, Vonotar? Show yourself, your worm will be gone. I'll not cower from you, nor will I hide my loathing of you. You'll never break me, traitor! He shouts, definitely shaking his scrawny fist in the air. By the way, you're always going to get these character voices when I do this kind of stream. I hope that makes it more interesting. You cannot mistake his accent, for it is almost identical to your own. Well, there you go. The old man is one of your countrymen. He's a Summerlanding from the northern part of Torren. If you possess a rope, you can lower it to the floor and try and rescue him. Okay, well, I will. I'll attempt to rescue him. 118. He's one of my countrymen. I've got to try and rescue him. He's too frail and too weak to climb. You tell him to tie the rope around his waist. He follows your instructions. You draw him up. You're shocked to discover he weighs no more than a child. Quickly, you pull him out of the cell. The old man, when he sees your face, his reaction is one of joy and relief. Turn to 56. Okay. So that was the right call. Oh, this is a big bit. So I'm going to get to do that. I'm going to get to do that silly voice for quite a while. Upon my soul, a Kai, he exclaims, his eyes now wide with astonishment. How I've prayed for freedom, for deliverance from this infernal place. And although hope never deserted me, I never expected such an illustrious rescuer. In the middle of his excitement, the old man is suddenly disturbed by a fit of coughing that leaves him pale and exhausted. It is a few more minutes before he can speak again. My name is Lokeimer. I'm an elder of the Magician's Guild of Torren, he says, slowly moving a small crystal star pendant. Oh, I've got one of them. Symbol of the guild. Guild is known as the Brotherhood of the Crystal Star. The magician shows you proof of his identity. Vonotar, that unspeakable wretch, is responsible for my plight. Days before Dark Lord Zagarnas' invasion of Summerland, he betrayed your Kai masters to empower for himself the black power of death and darkness. However, he failed to fulfill his role in the war plans his evil master had prepared. Dark Lords do not tolerate such weakness. Mercy has no place in their wicked minds. In the bitter aftermath of Zagarnas' defeat, the remaining Dark Lords sought to destroy Vonotar for his crime of failure. Vonotar knew that I alone possessed the means to effect an escape from their vengeance, for my guild staff has the power of teleportation. He tried to steal it and flee to the safety of Illicar by himself, but he learned that its power is not for all people to share. Only I am blessed with its secret. He was angry and would have murdered my kinspeople had I not agreed to bring him here. So I had no choice but to concur. Ever since that day, I've been a prisoner in this cell. Vonotar has tortured my body and mind, but I've not divulged my secret of my guild staff, which he now keeps in the hall of Bramalmak. For if I were to impart its secrets, my life would no longer be of any value. You tell Lokeimer of your mission and the events that have led to your meeting. He offers you to show a route through Ilkaya to the hall of Bramalmak, where Vonotar now resides as ruler. And if you can retrieve his guild staff, he promises to teleport you to the coast in time to rendezvous with your ship. Why doesn't he just teleport me all the way back home? I mean, it's a bit like the Eagles in Lord of the Rings, isn't it? Does the teleport have limited range? Sounds like Ray Winston. At least you're losing the Australian accent. Yeah, I mimic accents when I'm with other people. That happens all the time. I really was doing my Australian. If I'd moved to Australia, I'd have the accent in like less than a year. Probably not even 6 months. For the first time since you fell into the Caverns of Kalte, you feel confident now that your mission can and will be successful. If you possess a glowing crystal, turn immediately to 267. If you do, is that the same as the diamond thing that I picked up? I think it is. So let me go 267. I think that is that thing, because it was like a glowing crystal. Lomar quickly points to your pocket in which you have put the glowing crystal. Why do you carry a doomstone, young Kai? Are you aware of its dangers? Swiftly you remove the crystal and show it to the magician. Oh! He cries as if it's causing him pain. Cast it away before we both succumb to sickness. It's a cursed gem. Reluctantly you obey and you throw it away. Okay, good. Well, I've got rid of it then. So I better cross that off my chart here. I've called it a Diamond of Kalte, but I don't know if that's the same thing. Well, good that I ran into that geezer then. So 44 we're going to now. 44. Follow me, says Lokaimar. Sorry, I didn't do the voice. Follow me, says Lokaimar. I've listened to the sounds of Ikea for over a year, and its secret sliding doors and hidden routes are no longer a mystery to me. I've learned more about these corridors and passages from the confines of my cell than Vonotar has discovered with all of his cunning and guile. You follow the old magician through a network of secret passageways and tunnels, up long flights of stairs, and across chambers dark and cold. At the top of one very steep staircase, you come to a stone door. A strange, sickly smell is seeping from a small crescent-shaped spy hole. Oh, that'd be the kitchens, whispers Lokaimar, showing his distaste for Ikea cuisine by sticking his tongue out and grimacing. You can see that the secret door opens next to a fireplace with a roaring fire. Hanging over the fierce yellow flames is a large stone cauldron with a bubbling gruel. 2 ice barbarians sit nearby, with empty bowls resting in front of them. You notice their bone swords are propped up against the wall. If you possess Gravweed Concentrate, I don't. If you possess a potion of Gallow Brush, I do not. If you possess neither of these, you can open the secret door and launch a surprise attack. Well, I guess I'm going to launch a surprise attack. Who built the staircases? The dwarves, when they were on holiday from Middle-earth. They would come to Kalte for a bit of skiing. And while they were here, they would hammer out a few staircases. Obviously, Keith, obviously. Okay, it looks like I'm launching a surprise attack. Do you know, I don't think I've done a proper combat in this game yet. I haven't done a proper combat. The last book was all combat. There was lots of combat happening. The ice barbarians are taken completely by surprise. You have not one of them unconscious before the other one has time to react to your swift attack. He's unarmed, but very determined. Okay, now, he may be determined, but his combat skill is 14. My combat skill is 28. So that means that I am plus 14 above him. The highest you can go is plus 11. So, okay, we're in a combat situation, so let's get the dice up here. Let's get our little dice app. On plus 11, I'm going to do serious damage to him. If I get a high die roll, I will probably kill him straight away. So let me hit the 10-sider and we'll see what happens. Okay, so... Okay, I have rolled... That looks cocked. Is that cocked? Look, there you go. It's only just right. So is that's a 6. That was nearly cocked. How funny. Okay, so... You may decide to try and knock out this foe unconscious. In this case, fight the combat as normal, but deduct 2 from your combat skill. No, I'm just going to try and kill him. Sod that. So, I'll tell you how this works. So, plus 11, I have rolled a 6. Oh, it's gone. Where's it gone? Well, it was a 6. We all saw it. So, I rolled a 6. So a die roll of a 6 on plus 11 or greater means he takes 16 points of damage and I take 1. So my endurance, which is now back up to maximum, is at 23. Okay. Currently at 23. But that's going to heal up by 1 in a minute. And he's dead. So I turn to 340. I mean, yeah, if I try to knock him unconscious, I think the combat would have gone for 1 more round. You drag the bodies out the kitchen and prop them up behind the secret door. When you return, you find that Lokaimar is busy examining the bottles of herbs on the kitchen shelves. He pockets several jars and mixes contents of 2 others together. He offers you a handful of dry leaves and urges you to eat them. They will restore your strength, Lone Wolf. So I eat them and I get 6 endurance points back to your total. Well, okay. So it's back to 24. If you have no weapon, you can take the bone sword. I've got my weapon, so I'm good. Continue to 301. Good job it's not a Bisney. Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, those dwarves don't look yeah. I mean, listen, I love Peter Dinklage. He's in the top 5 actors that I want to work with. I've even written a script for him. And there's a big difference between fantasy dwarves in a fantasy story and dwarfism in a non-fictional story. I mean, I'd love to have a conversation with him about it. I'd love him to come on and talk to me about it, because I'd like to have that conversation with him, and have him correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs should be Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or like Snow White and the Seven Elves, you know. Okay. We're on the same level as the Hall of Brummelmark, whispers Low Kaimar, peering through the crack in the kitchen door. It's at the end of this corridor. 2 ice barbarians are standing beside the jewel-encrusted doors that lead to the hall. They're covered from head to toe in strangely fashioned bone armor. So these guys are going to be pretty powerful, I think. I'm going to keep the combat dice up for the moment because I think I'm going to need it. The old wizard steps back from the door and says, "We must deal with them silently and swiftly." He takes 3 jars from his pockets, mutters a strange incantation, mixes them together in a stone bowl. This is all happening in the corridor just a few meters away, but, you know, obviously they don't hear. It's a bit like that scene in A Fistful of Yen in Kentucky Fried Movie. This will silence the guard. This will silence the guards if we could just get close enough to use it. Right, if you have the Kai discipline of camouflage, do I? I do not. I do have the Kai discipline of mind over matter. I do have the Kai discipline of hunting. So I think mind over matter, I'll try using that at 228s. Because I'm not sure how useful hunting is going to be. You draw all your powers of concentration to make the bowl of fuming herbs levitate into the air. Once you've achieved this, you send it hovering down the corridor. You bring it to a rest and watch its effects. In less than a minute, the Kalte's guards have succumbed to its effects and collapse limply on the floor. "Now's our chance," whispers Low Kaimar, and he ushers you out of the kitchen. You approach the hall undetected and discover the once magnificent jeweled door is unlocked. Drawing your weapon, you push open the door and enter Vonotar's chamber. It's a shame that Inside Man is not back for this part. Turn to 173. Here's the confront. Oh, hello. The Hall of Brummelmark is a vast chamber constructed of crystal blocks rising to a central plateau. Okay. At the center stands the throne. Vonotar sits on it, surrounded by tombs of eldritch trappings of a necromancer. He is engrossed in study and doesn't see you enter the hole. He remains oblivious to your presence until Low Kaimar unfortunately sneezes. "Achoo! Who dares disturb me?" hisses Vonotar, rising from the throne, his eyes searching out for an intruder. Upon seeing you, he emits a horrified gasp and fumbles for his black staff. He has the look of a criminal who has been discovered in some dreadful crime. Quickly, you raise your weapon and climb the crystal pyramid. You know you have but little time to reach him if you're to overpower him and capture him alive. You reach the edge of the plateau in time to see a wide circle of blocks descending around the throne. Between you and Vonotar, a deep moat is forming. Then, from the depths of the moat, you hear ghastly, inhuman gibbering. From out the dark slithers a huge, ghoulish green monster. Its deformed head is a mass of tentacles and suckers. At the center of this writhing mass, a hideous yellow eye pulsates wickedly. Vonotar has control over this monster. If you possess an effigy... Okay, turn to 34. If you do not possess an effigy, but you possess the Sommersword, turn to 164. Well, I do possess the Sommersword. So there, and I burned him with it before. Okay, I want to show you this creature though before we go to 164. So let me just put that here. So guys, this creature looks like this. See that creature? Well, there we are. That's what it looks like. Pretty horrible looking sort of mutant octopus thing. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to fight it. The tentacled horror rises out of the moat and attacks you. You glimpse Vonotar raising his black staff and fixing his gaze towards Lokimar. He is attacking the old magician with his mind force. If Lokimar is killed, the secret of the guild staff will die with him. But before you can save Lokimar, you must first fight this monster to the death. It is an Acranion Roar, one of the undead. Remember to double all endurance points lost by this enemy during combat due to the power of the Sommerswerd. Right, so I will do double damage. Now, it's got a combat skill of 23. My combat skill is 28, but it has an endurance of 50 to my endurance of 24. If I win the combat in 5 rounds or less, turn to 272. So I've got to kill this thing in 5 rounds, or my old man is going to be, he's going to die. It looks like an odd, it looks like an ood mated with a kraken. Yes, indeed. Okay, so so I've kept the combat thing up, and here's our first round. So I'm on +5, guys. So I'm rolling a D10 +5. Sorry, it's +5, not +5 to the D10. So it's a 7 on the +5 chart. I'll tell you what that damage is. 7 on the plus, a roll of 7. Was a 7, wasn't it? Yeah, 7. I didn't realize the dice disappear like that. So on the +5 chart, I've done 12 damage, which is doubled to 24, and I take nothing. So it's already nearly at 50% damage. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in the chat so I don't forget. He has taken 24 points of damage. Okay, all right, we're going to roll again. It's a 2. That's not so good. A 2 is 7 doubled to 14, but I have taken 3 points of damage. So in the second round of combat, double to 14, he's now on 38 damage total. So we'll just put that in the chat there. And I've taken 3. So my endurance, which is back to maximum, is now down to 21. I think I'm going to be all right, though. Third round of combat. Should be able to kill him on this one. Inside Man, welcome back. I'm in my first. I've just done 2 rounds of combat.
Oh, really?
You know that picture of that tentacle creature that I showed you earlier?
Yeah.
He is the creature that protects Vonotar. I'm in the chamber with Vonotar now. I rescued an old man from a prison cell who showed me the way to Vonotar's chamber. Vonotar is trying to kill the old man while I'm trying to kill the mutant octopus, or as David Macy put it, it looks like an ood mated with a kraken. And I've done 38 points of damage to it out of 50, and it's only done 3 points of damage to me. On this die roll, 5. That's got to kill it. So I've done 5. Enemy takes 9, but it's undead, so it's doubled with the Sommerswerd, so it's doubled to 18. Yep, so that means it goes to. I have done 56 points of damage. It is dead. It is dead in under 5 rounds.
Nice.
I took another 3 points of damage that round, so my guy is down to 18 from 24. Okay, so I kill the creature. If you kill it in less than 5 rounds, turn to 272, which I did. So I think we're going to capture the guy. As the vile creature quivers and dies, Vonotar breaks off his mind combat and runs back towards the throne. Lokimar, that's the old guy, is badly shaken, but at least he has survived the ordeal. He quickly joins you at the edge of the moat and casts a handful of herbs into the darkness. Within seconds, a mass of vines and creepers coil upwards and form a bridge. Well, that's very handy.
It's
Well,
very, yeah,
very,
yeah.
very, very,
Bit of a
I'll, ta-
Deus Ex Machina there.
I'll take the combat thing down because you're halfway across the bridge when Vonotar suddenly reappears with a crystal rod held high in his hand, takes aim at the mass of creepers, and fires from the tip of the rod. In fact, there's a picture of the said rod firing.
Oh, yeah.
If you have the Sommerswerd or sword, go to 213. Yeah, well, I do have it, so it's handy that I've got it. 213. You point the tip of the Sommersword towards Votnar's crystal rod. Okay. In an instant, the cone of frost arcs away from the bridge and shatters against the unyielding blade of your wondrous golden sword. This is all very phallic, isn't it? Vonotar curses you as once again the power of the Sommersword saves you from his destructive magic. Yeah, that is the second time. It's because in the last book he tried to kill me the same way, and I was like, "Yeah, see you later, mate." Turn to 252. I have a feeling I might have nearly completed this. Your time has come, shouts a voice unexpectedly. Oh, wait a minute. I've been doing a voice for this character. This is the old man. Your time has come, shouts a voice unexpectedly. It is Lokaimar and not Votna who is speaking now. A knot of herbs flies through the air, and Vonotar is hit squarely in the chest. In an instant, the hunchback wizard is engulfed by a tangle of vines that ensnare him from head to toe. Lokaimar bridges the moat with creepers and joins you on the platform. Be sure to remove his rings and amulets, he says, as he busily searches for his guild staff. He's a master of trickery. We would not want him to miss the special homecoming that awaits him in Summerland. You marvel at the old man's composure and his unique accent. After such a desperate fight, he seems completely unruffled. Oh, here she is, he announces triumphantly as he withdraws his guild staff from beneath the throne. You pass him your map of Kalte and point to the location of the cardinal. I'll not be needing that, he replies a little contemptuously. Maps are invariably wrong. I much prefer to rely on my own sense of direction. The old magician raises his staff and a dazzling beam of light shoots from its tip. He makes 3 wide sweeps of the air and the hall of Brumac is transformed into an umbrella of spectacular colour. Turn to 350, and I have a feeling 350 is the end. I think it is. Do you know what? I think I've completed this book in one sitting. It's the last one. All right, so I'll read this out in its entirety. Better take a bit of water. As the colours fade, you become aware of a sudden drop in temperature. You find yourself standing upon the Lejuk ice shelf at a point less than half a mile from where the cardinal lies at anchor. But I mean, why didn't the guy just teleport us all the way home? He's got this teleport staff. You know, take us back to the palace, please.
Yeah.
Within minutes, you are sighted by the ship's lookout, and a longboat is dispatched to collect you. As a wriggling Vonotar is hoisted unceremoniously aboard the cardinal and deposited in the brig, the captain is the first to come and congratulate you. But how did you manage to return so quickly? He asks incredulously. We were not expecting you for another 10 days. Let's say, interrupts Lokaimar, that the wisdom of the Kai and the law of the Magician's Guild were working in tandem can surpass the limitations of even time itself. This kind of, I'm quite liking this sort of cockney old Gandalf character. A puzzled expression crosses the captain's face, but it is gradually replaced by a smile. As he slowly begins to understand the magician's curious answer. I'm glad he does, because I don't know what he's talking about. Your journey to Anshaven is swift, but you find it difficult to think about anything other than the sad fate of your brave guides that you left behind. Oh, right. So we just abandoned them on the ice floe then. And the damage Vonotar's tyranny inflicted on the Kalte's people, no doubt they will continue to consider Summerlanding as natural foes for decades after what just happened. You cannot help but wondering whether you could have handled your mission in a better, nobler way. Well, as this is the last section of the book, I'm thinking probably not is the answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
Your arrival in the port is greeted by an anxious crowd. They fear your early return is a sign of your mission's failure. When news of Vonotar's capture becomes known, your warrior skills are required once again in defense of your enemy against the seething mob of outraged Summerlending that assault the jail. Safe passage is eventually secured to Torren, where the trial awaits the traitor. Upon the dawn of the feast of Mushman, whatever that means, in the depths of the guild hall of the Crystal Star, Vonotar the traitor is tried by the High Council of the Brotherhood and found guilty of his terrible crimes. He is led away in silence to the deepest chamber of the guild hall, wherein lies the Shadow Gate, a Shadow Gate. It is a portal of total darkness, a door to an eternal prison from whence none have ever returned. You are the avenger of his crimes, and by ancient right, you are the one who cast the wretched traitor through the Shadow Gate. Well, with pleasure. Toss him in, I say, to the place that lies beyond the dreaded portal, the limbo of the Darzanian plain. I have a feeling I'm going to be going there one day. I don't know why I think that, but your mission is now complete. You have survived the Caverns of Kalte, freed the Summerland from the menace of Vonotar, the traitor. Congratulations, Lone Wolf, your king and your country. Rejoice in your victory and salute your skill and courage. You have triumphed the icy wastelands of Kalte, brought great honor to the memory of the slain of fellow Kai. But now, there is a new, challenging quest awaiting you. Depending on the box office of this current movie, another one will happen in a few days. If you have the courage to accept this challenge, you may begin your quest in the Chasm of Doom. Well, I do have the courage to accept that. I'm not going to do it now, but there we are.
That was. Do you know what? Right, that's the first time I've ever kind of experienced anything like that, and I actually really quite liked it.
Well, I'm gonna see. So the story behind this is I used to collect these books as a kid. I never gave them away.
Yeah,
I've still got them. By the way, this is what that creature would have looked like. You know, the one that uncoiled. There's a picture of it at the end of the book.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's like some kind of massive ice snake. But the story is that you know how it is when you're a teenager, you're into sort of board games and Dungeons and Dragons and that kind of stuff, and then suddenly you notice these pretty females running all over the place, and you become preoccupied with other missions. So I think I was expecting these books to go up to 10, and when the 10th one wasn't the final one, I kind of got a bit annoyed, and I was like, you know, I've got to wait for another one now, have I? And so I only ever got 10 of them. And I think I can't remember how many there are in total, but there are kind of, there's sort of 3 sections. There's when he's this Kai, and then later he becomes a wizard, and later he becomes something else. Anyway, there are 12 books in this first section. Now, they're reprinting them all. I've got 4 more on the way today, by the way. So the next one is the Chasm of Doom, which is this one. But I always really liked the quaint artwork of this is Gary Chalk's artwork. And that's the original. I mean, the world building is all Joe Deaver's job. He passed away of cancer a few years ago. I actually played a massive war game with him at a friend of his house.
Right.
And all of the people that attended, except for me and this one other guy, who was a policeman, were super rich, and they all had their own massive war games rooms at their houses.
Oh, wow.
And they all had huge collections of armies. And this guy was called John. He lived out towards the Essex coast, and he basically had 2 outbuildings. He had a barn where he built his wargaming scenery, which was a workshop. And then he had a purpose-built war games room with massive tables, his whole collection, huge cabinets along the walls, World War II, World War I, all these different things, all these different houses. It was all in 28 mil, I think. And we did this kind of African modern sort of Congo crisis type game, with lots of different factions. And I was playing a group of South African mercenaries, and I did very little in the game and mainly got butchered, but it was great fun. I took a load of pictures of the game. I've got them somewhere. But I did feel like I have to say that the experience of the day was, there's a line in Scent of a Woman which Philip Seymour Hoffman says to his rich friends about the character that Al Pacino's with. I forget the name of the actor who plays him. Chris, who played Robin in Batman and Robin. Chris, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting off track, but so unlike you and me. But the reason I brought that up is the line is when they invite Charlie, Chris O'Donnell. Chris O'Donnell is playing Charlie, and they invite Charlie to come on a skiing holiday with them to Aspen in the break. And Philip Seymour Hoffman turns around to his friend and says, "Why did you invite Charlie? You know he's here on a scholarship. You know he can't afford a holiday to Aspen." And the guy turns around and says, "Yeah, but as the lord of the manor, occasionally I have to offer some of my rich trappings to the poor." And it really felt like, when I was invited to that day, it was like, yes, this is how the rich war gamers live. You can have a quick peek and a look, but don't come back again.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. And I felt that they were all very, there was a couple of very self-made. That one of the guys there had a business, and his business was building. His business was building extensions or these buildings in people's gardens. That was his business. And how he got into wargaming was he built one of them for one of these guys, and it was all to spec, to fit tables and everything. And he came around and saw the finished thing, and the guy said, "Would you want a game?" And he was like, "Yeah, all right then." And that's how they ended up having a massive war game. I can't remember how I met Joe Deaver, but he was the person who invited me. Oh, I know. It was on a wargaming forum online, in the very early days of websites and stuff. And that forum is still going. And they put up these pictures of a massive Vietnam game they did. And I thought the Vietnam game was in America. And I've got pictures of that saved on my other computer as well. Otherwise, I'd put them up and share them now. And I said, "Oh, wow, I'd love to do a game like this." And it literally... Well, we're doing one in a couple of weeks' time, and we've got a couple of spots. Someone's dropped out. Do you want to come? And that was how I got an invite. So they weren't the crowd that I typically gamed with.
No.
And when it was like, "What do you do?" I'm a playwright. And, "What plays have you done?" "Well, I did the play about the Hillsborough football disaster. And then one of the guys there is a policeman. And one of the other guys there is definitely a Freemason." It was like, I could tell I wasn't going to get invited back.
Yeah.
I had a good time though. It was fun.
Yeah. No, it's good. Good experience though, I should imagine.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, just to see that these things existed, and there was a guy who was one of the owners of IBM was there. I don't know if it was the IBM guy, but one of the top guys at IBM was there. And I was talking about how, oh God, this wargame is amazing, and I was so blown away by it. And they were saying, "Well, you should see his." And I said, "Why? What's special about his?" He said, "Well, first of all, it's on 2 levels. So it's separate from the main house, and it's a cottage with 2 levels of 2 different gaming rooms. So you can have 2 games set up at the same time." And I said, "Oh, that's pretty cool. What else is impressive about it?" And they said, "Well, he's got 155 American pounders sitting outside on the lawn that he bought for World War II 155 artillery piece in the driveway." Wow. And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I bet you could find that on Google Earth if you know where the bloke is going." So, but anyway, so I played those books when I was a kid, and I got up to 10, which is the Dungeons of Torgar, which is this one.
Yeah.
And but in total, the books went up to 12 of the first section. But actually, if we have a quick look around the website, which I'll go to now quickly, so you can have because what's really great as well is each time you get a new book and you do a new part of the adventure, that map expands a bit further. So
Oh,
that map,
that is interesting.
that was one of the things that was really cool. The first thing I always did when I saw the new book was that, oh, what's on the new map, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you'll see that Shadow of the Sands, which is one of my favorites, which is the 5th book. The section of the world that covers is all this bit here.
Yeah.
So and you've got to take a long coach journey all across here, and somebody on the coach is trying to kill you. I remember that really well. So that a lot of that is all set in Vasagonia. So I like the way that each of these countries have like a different climate, and if you look on the map, you'll see that the buildings have slightly different architecture depending on where you go.
Yeah.
As well. This is the Chasm of Doom, so this is where I'm going to be going in the next book. So I'll be Holmgard is sort of my capital city. So presumably I'll be traveling down here and heading to the town of Ruanan, or whatever, however you pronounce that, and then I'll be looking to go to this chasm where I've got to do some sort of mission. And then the next one after that is Shadow of the Sand, which is across this way. So gradually you'd get more and more of this revealed. Now, some of these places I've never even seen half of these. So there must be other books which cover all of these places further south, but it's massive. Look at it, it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
It
and
really
you
is.
used to be able to get a guidebook to the world which had like the map of the world in it, which was really good. Hey Corey, nice to see you popped in, mate. Keith said he lost volume and had to reset. So guys, I finished the Caverns of Kalte in a single setting.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably got an awful lot to do with me and my decision-making processes.
I knew you were going to say that.
I
It's all
have to take some credit.
it's all down to the inside man
Hey.
and his guidance
Yeah, there you
steering
go.
me swiftly through.
But
Um,
I got to be honest, it was it's quite an education actually. It's you kind of educated me in this, and I knew nothing about it before.
These are some of the various different bits of artwork that were
Mm.
produced, and you've got different covers for different books
Oh,
in
nice.
different countries. So the Jungle of Horrors there, for example, if you look at that one, I think my cover to the Jungle of Horrors, which is book 8, is different from that. So so you see that one there. So
Yeah.
the original first edition Jungle of Horrors is that with a temple in the middle.
Yeah.
Which I think is the thing you're trying to get to, if I remember rightly. But there's probably also a thing with a really big spider at some point. They also wrote some novels as well. So some of these are novels. That's the original cover on the right of the first book. So yeah, and then you can see.
But you can see, but can't you see the way these are structured? The way the different scenes play out and everything. That they are very, very worthy of having novelizations of them because of the permutations that you have in each one.
Yeah, I mean no, they do lend themselves to that. I was reading quite a lot of fantasy books at this time, and I didn't. The novels of these came out a lot later when I'd stopped playing them, and by then I'd gone off fantasy books because back then they were all pretty similar. Kind of have sword, will travel. Let's get a gang of guys together and go and kill the bad guy.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what what's his name? Game of Thrones author wanted to take apart. He wanted to, what about if everybody's bad and also good, like real human beings? Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. And if you look at a lot of the early fantasy novels and series, like the David Eddings stuff and the Stones of Shannara, Terry Brooks, all that, they're all very similar to Lord of the Rings. Some of them have got different elements, like it's a guy traveling through time from like the Thomas Covenant series is about a guy who's dying of cancer in real life, but he goes into a coma and he's in a fantasy world and he's a hero, and at the end of every book he comes back to being a human again, and he's a bit more dead. But it's always a hero fighting for a noble cause. So you can see, like in this one, for example, there's the map of the swamp. in that book.
Yeah, yeah.
And we saw part of that on the grand map earlier. So, but I think one of the things they did is that they did a real deep dive on all the books. They broke them down and they made sure, because I think some of the books had some glitches in them before that they corrected.
Yeah.
And they extended I think they've extended them as well a little bit, put some extra bits in, and just sort of made sure that there aren't any dead end loops. But I do have to say that the one in book 2 was a bit naff. I thought they could have made that a bit more. But on the whole, they're really good. So if you go to the shop, you can see the new editions are here. So these are the new editions which come out in hardback. They're also, some of them are available in softback. Books 1 to 6, your character is of a certain level. So he's a Kai, which is kind of like a Jedi apprentice, if you like.
Yeah.
Then he becomes more like an acolyte, which is a Magna Kai. So that goes up to the dungeon. So they're up to the dungeons of Tulgar, but they're about to bring out the next 2. So I'm looking forward to those. And there's forums. They're really popular. They were really popular in Europe. And then you've got all the original books are actually available online to play on another website, which, by the way, guys, is down here. So you can actually get the old editions for free, because when Joe Deaver was dying of cancer, I think one of his wishes was to make the books available to absolutely everybody. So that's one of the things that's they've kept, and then I don't know if they'll I wish they'd show all the covers in total. So so this is so it's a series of books divided into 5 sections. Grey Star is a separate parallel story about a wizard, and I did have those and I didn't like them. They were much more magic focused, and I don't like too much magic in my fantasy.
Yeah, I mean this is quite sort of adventure centric, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. I mean, like in Lord of the Rings, there's magic, but there's not like magic all the time.
Yeah.
Especially in the first film, it's very subtle. Occasionally Gandalf will turn a butterfly into an eagle or something, but there's not like loads of magic. The most magic we probably get is the, you shall not pass, and there's quite a lot in the third film, but so now Peter Jackson had a rival series to this. They both came out around the same time, and I'm surprised you've not heard of those, because they were called the Fighting Fantasy series, and they're standalone novels that are all set in the same world. One of them was called Death Trap Dungeon, and lots of characters and features from Death Trap Dungeon appeared not only in the new Dungeons and Dragons films, but also in the shitty old one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they Fighting Fantasy also did a Mad Max style book called I think it was called like the the Road, was something like the Road Warrior. It was really close to the Road Warrior. They did a sci-fi one called Starship Traveler, which was kind of, you're in a spaceship, it was lost. You were a bit like Lost in Space. You were kind of trying to get home. And they worked on a similar principle, but their combat system was not as good. It wasn't done on odds, and it was either you injured the thing or the thing injured you. Whereas in Lone Wolf, you both get injured at the same time. It's a question of who does more damage. But these were the Fighting Fantasy books. So that, as you can see, there's a lot of them. Forest of Doom. Warlock of Firetop Mountain was the first one, and Forest of Doom was the second one. And I think I had about the first 4 or 5 of these. This looks like some for sale on eBay. Yeah, there you go. 400 quid for the vintage So okay. So of these ones, for example, I had Rebel Planet, which was a sci-fi one.
Mm.
I had Death Trap Dungeon. I had Island of the Lizard King. I had City of Thieves, Starship Traveler. That's an original cover at the top, I think, or second, might be second. Freeway Fighter. That was it. That was the Mad
Right.
Max
Okay.
one, and
Yeah.
I think they did 3 books in the Freeway Fighter series. But I didn't have most of these, and I mean, man, there was like no end of them. They churned them out. You had to wait a little bit for the next Lone Wolf book. These were churning out.
Was this more kind of quantity than quality based? These
Yeah,
ones, yeah.
they had several different writers on them. I mean, if we look on the Wikipedia to see how many there were, Wikipedia is not for sale. Good, pleased to hear that. Okay, so I'm still not giving you any money. I can't afford it. Can't afford it. I'd like to give you money, but I can't afford it. I'm very sorry. You know, I've got my super chats for Drinker, and that's about it. So this is a list of all the fighting fantasy books. So you can see the first one, Warlock at Firetop Mountain, published in 1982.
Wow, that does go back.
Yeah. So Lone Wolf books, I think, were published a little bit later. I think they were like 83 or 84. It might have been.
Right.
So that, but it was around the same time, very close together. But I remember as soon as the Lone Wolf books came out, it felt like a proper story.
Yeah.
These were really just, okay, here's your character. You got to go to this place to get a thing. And it was all very simplistic. I mean, the Freeway Fighter one was quite good fun. You had to get petrol and stuff like that. So there's the original cover for that one.
Yeah.
Which was, and I think I probably bought something like the first 10 of these. I had Space Assassin. I remember that. And I remember thinking it was quite crap. And I had Scorpion Swamp. Couldn't remember a thing about that. Island of the Lizard King was okay. Death Trap Dungeon was my favorite one. That was like going in that dungeon event, like in Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. You remember the arena?
Yeah.
They had to. Yeah, it was a bit like it was a bit like that, but with traps and corridors and more enclosed. And if you got out the other side, eventually you would get a big pot of money. So I had the Citadel of Chaos, which was very boring. I had the Forest of Doom, which was basically the same, but it was woods instead of a dungeon. But these weren't as good. Somebody will say that Robot Commando I did not have, so I can't tell you what playing a Robot Commando was like. But look how many of them there were. So by 1989, there were 37 of them.
God.
So they were churning.
Yeah, they really were. Yeah, that was a real production line, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then so there were 59 in just the fighting fantasy range. They went from 82 to 95. They were published. So by 95, they had 59. The last of which was Curse of the Mummy. I might have to track that down. That might be quite funny. Then they also had a sorcery one. So again, they also did one where the focus was wizards. And then they did the Adventures of Goldhawk, which again I never. And then they did fighting fantasy novels. So they had a very similar business model.
Yeah.
They had a 2-player book you could do, but it was a similar business model to the Lone Wolf one. And then, just so quite a lot of books, quite a lot. I thought it was more than. I could have sworn it was more than 59 in the main. But that's probably because I saw all the other things as well. So let me just. I'm curious now to see when Lone Wolf first came out. Let's have a look. See if I can. See if it must have a Wikipedia page. Book series wiki. Let's have a look. Yeah. It might be. Yeah, here we go. It's got its own Wikipedia page. So, and Gary Chalk was the guy who did all the I really liked his cartoon artwork, which you see inside the books and also on the covers of the old books.
Yeah.
But him and Joe Deaver had a massive falling out, and they didn't speak for a long time. But it's really nice that Gary Chalk and Joe Deaver's son, actually, they do appearances together at conventions, and like Gary
Yeah.
Chalk is signing the new books and stuff, and they've kept his original artwork in, even though the books have got new modern covers. They've kept his original artwork in the inside, which I think is really nice.
Well, that's nice. Yeah.
And yeah, so they came out in 1984. I was right, 1984, and they did 31 books.
That's a
So
lot. That's still a fair amount, isn't it?
yeah. So and they went through a couple of different publishing companies, and you can see that Joe Deaver and publisher Red Fox were at odds with each other. They ceased publishing the Lone Wolf series after book 28, The Hunger of Zagarnas. Again, I never even knew that the series went up to book 28, because you had all these different sections for the ranks that he went to. So you must be fighting monsters with like tons of points. So in the United States, for example, only the first 20 books were ever made available. The last 8 books were never printed, and it all went out of print in 1988. But a fan-operated organisation called Project Aeon, which is, the link is below, it's down there on the page. So David's saying some of those fighting fantasy books sell for over £100 on eBay. He's also said, if you think the inside man would enjoy reading the Tyndale Raven pilot, feel free to pass it on to him. So if
I
you
would
want to read,
love to. Yeah, I really would. I really would. Thank you, David.
I'll tell you what, as I'm a man of action, let me do that right now and I'll forward it to you. I've got your email, Inside Man, haven't I?
Yes, you have, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Don't shout it out on the channel.
Yeah.
Let me just. I think I'll find. Hang on a second. Let me see. If I can find it. Oh, hang on a minute. I've opened my email, haven't I? Hey, we don't want to do that on the stream, do we? Don't want to do that on the stream. Oh shit! I forgot I was sharing my screen. Let me do that. And let me send it. Let me send it right now. I don't think anybody got any addresses there. No, they didn't.
Nah.
I was just scrolling up. So which is good. Yeah. Do you know what? I did that before on the stream, and I had to go back in and edit it out.
Oops.
Yeah, because I forgot I was sharing my screen. Never open your email page when you're sharing your screen. Not a good idea generally. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I've got it. Here we go. So forward. So does it? Can you remind me of the first two? I tell you what, you can tap them into the private. You can tap it into the private chat for me.
Or what about just chucking it onto my FB?
But you can type it in there for me. I can forward it because I can't. I've put in what I thought it was, but it hasn't come up.
Stick it in my stick it in my just chuck it in my Facebook.
Your Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can probably do that. Attach your file. Yes, I can. Downloads. Yeah, I got it. Here you go. Okay. Yeah, it's in there.
Nice one. Fantastic. Yep,
All right.
got that. Yeah.
There you go, David.
Thanks, David.
On this channel, we are men of action. You say we're going to do something, we do.
Yeah, I look forward to it because I mean it's kind of a period that I quite like.
I know you're into
period. Yeah,
you're into your historicals.
Yes, yeah. I think this is it's certainly one of the similarities that you and I have got. You know, with the whole sort of history thing, and it's yeah, it's really a period that I do like. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to that. But I'm pleased that that you gave it pretty much a thumbs up, that you did enjoy it. And I'd go on that as a recommendation alone, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not without its faults, and I mean, I don't want to get into discussing those on a live stream. I've given David some feedback. I do think there are some things that need to be changed, but there's one character that's extremely well written who you can visualize very easily, and he's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's always quite nice. You know, when you've got someone who's that that visceral, shall we say? Yeah, but going back to Lone Wolf, so Project Aeon was established in 1999 to convert the books to HTML format. And as of 2020, 29 of the 31 Lone Wolf game books and the Magnamund Companion are available on the website. Despite the online publication, the original print copies of the game books 21 through 29 are very rare and sought after. And as of April 2020, copies in good condition sell online for between $150 and $600. So the last 8 books, 21 through 29, which I never even saw, only had a limited print run in Europe, you see.
Yeah.
So Joe Deaver passed away. I completely missed it as well when he passed. He passed away in 2016. But he made it clear that he wanted the books to be available. But I'm quite happy to buy the new updated editions because they're really lovely.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't spend a lot of money on things. It's funny because people probably see all the stuff behind me and think, oh, he goes out and buys all these you know, models and whatnot. I've had all these for years. Most of these have been sitting in the shed for over 10 years. If some of them have been sitting in the shed for 15 years. So when I decided to do the YouTube channel, I thought, well, actually, I might as well arrange a display of all the interesting things that people never get to see. By the way, I've now got 0x in here. Do you want to have a look at it?
Yeah.
Is the Pope a Catholic? Oh, hang on. One of my vinyl record things is not properly secured. In this cabinet, I've also got my LP of A Bridge Too Far.
Oh, nice.
Which is in a
nice.
Which is rare indeed.
Yeah, yeah, very.
I found Rollerball in a shop in Brighton the other day, and I thought that was really rare, but they were selling it for like 10 quid.
Really?
So this is the vinyl of Bridge Too Far, which is extremely rare. I've never seen it anywhere.
No.
Record is still in there. Still got that lovely, that lovely smell of vinyl.
Yeah, that lovely smell. Yeah.
Still,
You can't beat it.
No, I mean, I have it in a sleeve normally. I've got the sleeve there, and the sleeve has protected it from quite a lot of dirt because the sleeve is very dirty. But while it's in here, it can stand on its own. So I'll put that in there. Keep put the sleeve behind it there. So this is 0x. Now this is a die-cast Japanese toy, effectively. I'm going to solo my layout for a second, so I'm a little bit bigger. Here we go. All right. So this is 0x. So this is so rare, this thing. It's really hard to get hold of. And I got it from that shop in Clapham. Do you remember the one that was on the Clapham Hill? Just before
I don't, mate. I don't really sort of know Clapham that well.
I would have thought you would have gone there at some point because it was very well known. Now, funny enough, this cone that slides on the front. Oh, there we go. I had trouble getting that on. There we go. So that's the nose cone that slides on the front of the ship. And I thought that wasn't going to go on. These are metallic, but they do come off, but they slide into place. So And then this little car, the one that drives on the moon, it actually comes off as well. So
nice.
Yeah, and it's metallic, so it just pops into place. If you see, look, like that. So very nice. Yeah. So anyway,
how long ago did you get that?
I've had that for about long time. I got that when I was. I mean, this is back when Alan Marks was still alive. I must have had it for at least 15 years. I think I got it in the mid 2000s, probably around 2005, something like that. I was still living in my old flat in Highgate when I got that, and I moved out of that flat in 2011, and I had it for several years there. So I think probably got it around 2006, 2007, something like that. So Dave Macy's off to bed, mate. Thanks so much.
Thanks, David.
We'll be doing that ourselves shortly, because I did say that I'd only stay on until 1. It's actually 1:30, so I think I'll probably call it a night in a sec. But yeah, so I've got the stream tomorrow at 3:00 with John Walsh. 3:00 in the afternoon, bit of an unusual time. But guys, look, don't be afraid to go and check that stream out later. This guy has done so much stuff. We'll go on Amazon quickly so people can see who I'm talking about and what he's done. I'm interviewing him tomorrow at 3 p.m. We'll probably be on for about an hour and a half. He's not going to be on too long. But he's got this. He's just got the proofs of the Conan book.
Lovely.
So these are some of the things that he's done that are available on Amazon now, and these are big sort of coffee table book affairs. So they're always full of loads of pictures. So he's got the making of the Wicker Man.
That's on my list, I can tell you.
Yeah. So that's one of his. Let me grab him as an author. Get on. There we go. So there he is. So the Doctor and the Daleks book, which I've got, and I'll be showing people some of that. He's got the Lost Movies of Ray Harryhausen, which is a very interesting book that I'm sure you'll want to get a copy of.
Yeah, definitely. That's another one on my list.
There's the Escape from New York. I'd like to get the hardcover of Flash Gordon for sure. That's nearly out of print apparently. So anyone interested may want to get that pretty soon. So the Conan one is the one that's just come out, and see it's under pre-order. So Wicker Man and Conan are both under pre-order, but he's just got the first of the Conan ones. So he held up a physical copy for me the other day, and Arnie's getting a box of them apparently. So I'm sure he's going to be very pleased. But these books have like loads of unpublished photographs. This is not a textbook. This is a book with a lot of very rare pictures and that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, it's so you get a lot. They're expensive, but you get a lot for your money.
See, they strike me. Tell me if I'm correct about this, Lance. But they strike me as being, an extremely big passion project. Each one of them, an extremely big passion project for the author.
Yeah,
I
mean,
an awful lot of work, phenomenal amount of work that would go into the research of this.
Also to get the release of rights of all the different stills and but yeah, I mean, it's and he's tracked down like all the different posters of the Dalek movies. So there's a huge amount of stuff. I mean, I'm a massive Dalek fan. I'm a particularly big fan of Dalek Invasion of Earth.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Yeah. I really do. I like the rebels' attack on the spaceship. It's got a great climactic ending. I mean, the Dalek spaceship in that still looks really great. You know, the
it
model
does.
work of it flying through the air.
It really does.
And you know that they also covers the first film as well. And it's interesting as well that Peter Cushing wouldn't agree to do the second movie unless the girl who played Susan was offered the same role again, and they were going to cut her out. And you know, I think he managed to keep one of the other cast in as well, if I remember rightly. Isn't that you in one of your younger roles?
Yeah,
I thought so. Yeah. Barry Ingram. Yeah. So fantastic stuff.
but I love the Daleks in those two movies.
They're really
Daleks.
Yeah, because they're very poppy, very colourful.
Yeah, they really are. Do you know what? It's in both senses of the word. I think, you know, they're very poppy. You know, they do pop, but they're very pop art as well.
Yeah,
Do
the
you
whole
think?
film.
Yeah,
Whole film is
it's
pop art.
yeah. I mean, terrific. Really, an amazing palette they had in that film.
Yeah, oh, no, absolutely. Right. Well, I think. Oh, right. So, Keith is saying that Retro's had some people that are being a pain in the arse on her channel.
Oh.
That's not good, is it?
Oh dear.
We love Retro Nerd Girl, so
Yes,
well, I'll probably
wonderful.
I'll pop on and see her tomorrow as well, Keith. So I can't remember if I'm a moderator on her channel. I don't think I am, but if she needs some extra mods, I'll be there. So all right, listen, I'm Inside Man. Thanks for joining me again, mate. I'm gonna log straight out and head to the bedroom.
Mate.
So and I think you'll probably be doing the same.
Yeah,
guys,
I will be, mate.
Stuck around for the whole thing. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
we did one book in a single setting, so I've got to relabel this video immediately. Not part one. It's the whole thing. So so thanks a lot. I'm going to do another one of these next week. It might not be on a Tuesday because we're doing. I think we're discussing. I can't remember what we're doing. If it's not Judge Dredd, but we've got something I think scheduled for next Tuesday, and if we haven't, we will. But I may do these on a Wednesday. It might become the Wednesday night thing. We'll see. All right. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks Inside Man. I'll see you again real soon.
It's a pleasure. Take care, mate.
Guys, don't forget to call your friends and tell them that you love them, and I'll speak to you again next week. Bye-bye.